been balling like Chris Wallace, back with another installment. Yo, partner player, Lush Uno. This is Lush World, powered by Mad Deep, and with me today, I got a dear friend of mine.
We go way the fuck back.
Yeah, we 2 decades at least deep now.
Man, somebody said those are my homies from MySpace. I said, oh God, don't date me like that.
This is previous to mine.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like even further than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're like early message board days.
Wow.
Really, fuck the internet. We was outside.
We was outside.
You know what I mean?
We was actually outside.
My brother, the legendary rapper, battle rapper, entertainer, comedian, purveyor of dog culture.
These days,
skateboarder, overall amazing human being, Dirtbag Dan, repping what?
the Zay baby. Rah. It was funny when you introduced me at the GTX event.
Yeah.
I could tell you're like, where are you from? And I was like, what's good? It's Dan Martinez from Adopt My Block. And you were like, oh, you're not going to say it. And then I was like, from the Zay baby. Rah. And you were like, oh God, thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God he said it.
I was going to have to do it.
I know. That's great. Yeah, never. I can't remember how many battles I did on camera. I want to say like well over 75 in like 9 different countries. And every single time I said, the Zay baby, rah. Because I love where I'm from.
And I feel like you're definitely a local treasure. I mean, you're an international icon, but really how is it possible for you to go anywhere in the Zay without getting recognized? Like,
still, your boy gets a free burrito every now and then. You know what I mean? And get a good, like, what's good? Someone will be like, hey, Dirtbag in the Home Depot. And I'm like, you better not say that to every dude with a beard you see. You're going to get your ass kicked one of these days. Yeah, no, love my city. I think nowadays people, especially after like 4 years of running the dog rescue, people recognize that that's the path now. And I feel like I get a lot of respect from like a whole different part of the community now for that shit, which is awesome.
Well, it's like so trippy hearing your like outgoing voicemail on your phone.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Daniel Martinez.
From Adopt My Block. Yeah, man. I run a nonprofit.
Who's this whole ass adult now? Like,
yeah, wow. It only took me 40 years to become an adult. How about that shit?
That's a trip. Like they said, like Smiley from Training Day said, life's a trip, Cardinal.
Life's a fucking trip.
But so for those who don't know, how would you describe San Jose for people that don't know about it? Because it's in the Bay Area, but it's like the very southern tip of the Bay Area.
Well, it's weird because like people don't have a lot of like you say I'm from San Jose and they'll be like, well, where's that? And, San Francisco, Oakland, like these other places that they have a very like firm notion of, right? San Jose is the 10th largest city in America,
right?
It's
the largest city in the Bay Area.
Yeah, 1 million fucking people documented live in that city, right? Like,
and just as many homeless.
It's wild out there right now, but at the same time, it doesn't have like a global identity in the way cities like San Francisco and Oakland do. And I guess it's because it's ever changing, man. Mm-hmm. Like I'm 40 years old. When I walk around, I feel like I'm fucking 80 because I could be like, that used to be an orchard. That used to be an orchard. That used to be a fucking Orchard Supply. You know what I mean? Like, it's a way different city these days.
Fry's.
Yeah, no, well, that pyramid over there, that was actually a Fry's Electronic. Yeah, no, it's a significantly different city these days than it was even when I was a kid. And then before that, like it really feels like every 10 years things shift pretty dramatically. I feel like it's most known these days for being the home of like these mega corporations that everybody deals with and uses every day, like Tesla and Google and Facebook and Netflix and all, Apple, and everything is all right there.
Silicon Valley.
Man, lots of money out there.
Northern California, fools will do you.
Crazy to be like, one of the largest places for the houseless community, and also like there's so much money out there.
Right.
It's just a stark contrast between like Teslas driving by encampments and people living in campers and shit like that. Like real wild place.
Would you describe it as a predominantly like Chicano Latino city?
Yeah, it's always been. I think for the most part is. I mean, like I like have a joke when I do stand up. I'll be like, I'm half Mexican, like everybody else out here. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
supposed to be like, oh, I'm not Mexican. Well, don't worry, your grandkids are going to be for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Someone's gonna fuck some Mexican into your family. Is what I'm trying to say.
If they're fortunate enough to.
Yeah, that's real shit. Like it's very much like that, but it's also very like everybody lives out there, and especially we got like a large
A lot of Asians.
lot of Asians because there's a ton of engineers out there because there's all those businesses out there that require engineers, and that's newer than that's over the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I remember going out to the Zay back in the day, and just for show there'd be like an abundance, a plethora of top-notch Asian baddies walking around.
That has always been the thing. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. It's like a small city vibe for a really big city. It's definitely a place where like everybody knows each other, and I don't know how because there's so many fucking people out
And you're from the east side of San Jose?
I lived on every side of San Jose.
Okay.
I live in the Northeast now, and like that's where I was born. But I lived on the South side, I lived on the West side, I lived on the East side. Like I've been all over that city.
The east side and south side are like the more like well-known, well-documented hood areas.
Yeah, I guess Southeast is probably like the roughest area of the city, and then North side where I grew up. When we were kids, we like moved to the South side to get out of a bad neighborhood.
Yeah,
and like the place I live now, it's like it's a family neighborhood. It's working class people. You know what I mean? Like you better speak a little Spanish or you can't order food. You know what I mean? Like the restaurants there, you try and call and order in English, they'll just hang up the fucking phone on you. You know what I mean? Like literally, like I'll go to spots and like they won't serve you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, Sabo kids, beware.
Yeah, come on.
Don't try to order no food in the Zay.
Or just know how to say like asada or whatever. Don't ask for a steak burrito. They're gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
But yeah, man, it's a beautiful city. It does. I would say when you talk about like shit being hoodish, man, we ain't got shit on Oakland. We ain't got shit on San Francisco. We don't have open air drug markets. We don't have a fentanyl crisis. You know what I mean? Like we do have a large houseless community, right?
Yeah.
And I'm out there all the time. I have like a much better understanding of like how that world operates and how those people live.
Right.
Being someone who works for a nonprofit, I'm trying to like help them keep their dogs safe and healthy. And then just in general, I'll roll out with jackets in the winter and fucking, water bottles in the summer. Like we're just trying to keep people healthy and happy. And it's, man, the more you work with people out there, the more you realize that everybody is a few bad days away from being right there on the
It could
street.
be any of us.
I mean, most people in California can't afford a surprise $500 bill. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, my car broke down. I'm fucked. I can't pay rent this month. You know what I mean? Like, how many bad things in a row have to happen to you before you're on the street? Not much, dude. Not a shitload. You know what I mean? So,
and then if you add drugs to the equation,
I mean,
significantly expedites the process.
And if you're gonna be out there, you're gonna be on drugs. Like, cause how the fuck else are you even gonna deal with that lifestyle? So like, and growing up with people, close to me and in my family that have had problems with, narcotics across the spectrum, you understand that that's not it's a disease like cancer. Some people are more susceptible to it than others. But ultimately it's not a choice in the way that it's framed. You know what I'm saying?
People get incensed though when people make that statement. Like because I've made that same comparison and people be like, it's not the same. But like, and obviously, prayers up, fuck cancer, prayers up to anybody.
No,
that's battling
100%.
cancer. But and a lot of cancer is just hereditary or environmental. But
so is addiction to drugs.
Right.
So is someone's proclivity to fall into that lifestyle. It's it's very much in your DNA or not. You know what I'm saying? And like certain people, and here's the thing is, what people don't realize is like the same people who be talking shit like that, they've drinking alcohol, they've smoked some weed. You know what I mean? And they don't realize how quickly for somebody who is, who does have that in their, a gene pool to some degree, they'll just fall deeper and deeper and further down that hole. And then all of a sudden you're fucking smoking fentanyl, fucking,
Right.
you know what I mean? Or shooting up, or methamphetamines tend to be like the biggest problem out there still. So
Yeah, there's some Scante warriors.
man, if you're going to be out there on the street, like, better be awake and alert. You know what I'm saying?
Like, walk around, you feel me? You got it. Now, how would you describe what was the early days of Dirtbag Dan growing up? I know you were skating from an early.
Yeah, no, I started skateboarding in like when I was like 10 years old in like the early 90s. And San Jose was a big city for skateboarding. A lot of pro skateboarders come from San Jose. There's an argument that street skating started in San Jose because it was the first place where they started tearing down the ramps and the skate parks and shit.
Really?
Yeah. There used to be a vert ramp at Raging Waters, and you'd have Steve Caballero and Tony Hawk and Lance Mountain out there skating. And then like once that shit fell out of popularity, like late 80s, early 90s, they tore down the ramps, they tore down the skate parks, and there was nothing. So fools just started taking those tricks and doing them on the curbs, doing them on the street.
Right.
So by the time 10 years later, when I was skateboarding, there was already like a very established scene in San Jose, and skateboarding was very counterculture in the sense that like it was not cool at all. This is like pre-X Games,
right,
pre Tony Hawk, like
that's that white boy shit.
I mean, but even though it was like the first dude I seen skating was the homie Latif, and I watched him do 360 double flip, and I'd be like, oh my God, that's insane. And then my homies Fong and Twan, like, but just in general, like, it was one of those things where like literally you can count like hundreds of people skateboarded in San Jose, in a city of hundreds of thousands. And you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a popular thing. And I was definitely not like a cool kid at school until around junior high, and then all of a sudden, like, skater kids were cool as fuck, and everyone's wearing Osiris's and shit. Yeah, fucking hookups tees. And I worked at the skate shop, and I remember it being, not slow, and then all of a sudden fucking everybody was in there. You know what I mean? So I definitely watched that shift. And growing up with fools that were pro skaters and skateboarding my whole life, like my brother was actually like sponsored and rode for Consolidated and Scarecrow, and I remember being like, damn, I'm not as good as these fools.
But you were pretty fucking good.
Yeah, but not as good as these fools. You know what I'm saying? And like,
weren't you like in Thrasher and shit like
yeah,
that?
I had a trick in the tilt mode video, which is super awesome. I look back on that with like a lot of fondness, but I'm saying I had a trick. I didn't have a part. You know what I'm saying? My brother had a part. Like these fools, there was a level, right? And I recognized that. And when I started rapping around like 14, 15 years old, I also recognized that this was something I could do that I was better at than most people, right?
Right.
So, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a rapper. Why not? You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the thing that's like so interesting about you. You're like a Renaissance man, dude. You're like kind of like you're like the West Coast Forrest Gump look.
Yeah, no doubt, huh? Fucking with the mental disability as well. But I get bored, man. You know what I mean?
If he
like,
wasn't retarded.
That, come on, maybe a little bit.
A little bit.
But I mean,
of the downs.
Just a touch. But like skateboarding and hip hop went hand in hand. Like the first hip hop music I'd listened to came from skateboard videos, right? Like, and it was underground hip hop. It was Hyro and shit. Souls of Mischief and like
93 Till.
Yeah, man. So like, I definitely there was, as skateboarding like branched off from being like just like a group of people like all together that all wore the same shit and all listened to the same kind of music, and then you started having like the hip hop dudes and the punk dudes and like all the different kinds of skateboarders.
Sections.
I definitely gravitated towards like the hip hop side of skateboarding, and started rapping just as for fun, realized I could do it well, and then you just show up to the open mics and freestyle, and it always turned into a battle, man. Every fucking time. And there was no like studios that would let us go record, you know what I mean? There was only a handful of like Bay Area rappers that had that level of clout at that time, and like they were all like gangster rappers, right? It wasn't like the hip hop kids, you know what I mean? Outside of like Hyro and Souls, like there wasn't an underground hip hop scene when I started rapping. So but that's what I listened to. I remember listening to like Log Cabin and shit, you know what I mean? Like, and Project Blowed like a motherfucker. That was like how I formed my style. I was like, oh, I want to rap like these guys.
And I think that's kind of like became the quintessential San Jose rap style.
Oh, yeah.
if you weren't outside in the late 90s to mid 2000s,
Yep.
the late 2000s in San Jose, there's certain rap styles
Yeah.
and cadences that you would never become privy to. But
all that
Yeah.
all that shapeshifters ass
Very,
shit.
very
Like we all a bunch of
theatrical.
circuses running around.
yeah. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
With y'all own like gay area like player twist on it.
Yeah, well, we would rap like circus, but about gangster shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that was like the weird, like San Jose is like a white guy talking about pimping, but he's like, like very shapeshifter-ish about
Right.
it. Like, I don't know. I
Like
was
a 9mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I used to like the hip hop that I liked the most came from right here, right?
Yeah.
And like when I say like I formed my style around that shit, like I'm not lying. Like I was a guy who like double time pattern hammer rap, right? And like there was only one group of people who were like actively doing that shit in California at that time. So
Yeah.
it was like all respect due to the originators, you know what I mean? Like I was watching, I could fucking spit whole AC Alone tapes front to back, and
Right.
you know what I mean? Like all the early like legend shit, like I was on
Okay,
that.
so as far as San Jose goes, though, were you like obviously like the first rapper I ever heard from San Jose was MC Twist.
Yeah.
With the-
So not
That's like super early '90s obscure.
yeah, but that's a very specific genre of hip hop where it's like Hispanic gangster rap shit. You know what I'm saying?
Was that what you described?
I mean, that's what it was.
I just remember that
it
sample.
was,
That do you know?
It was
the way?
yeah, for sure. It was just the Mexican fools doing gangster rap, right? And that was like,
I didn't even know what race he was until right now.
and I don't know how many like there was a very, like we had our gang culture out there, very
Yeah.
specific kind of gang culture out
Yeah.
there. And those fools were all listening to like Mac Mall and Mac Dre. And
Right.
so like they were doing their own version of that, and they would have features with those fools. So like I was definitely initially way more into like the underground hip hop side of that shit. And then, as I got older, started like branching out and listening to more shit. But it was pretty clear, like in the beginning, like you couldn't be a gangster rapper unless you were a gangster. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like fools, and especially if you're like a white kid with a skateboard and a backpack on, like,
Yeah.
nah, that's not how you're rapping. You know what I mean? So like, I fell right into my little niche. You know what I mean?
This is pre-Slim Jesus. So
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like a decade and a half
like
before.
way before.
Yeah. So like there wasn't even that kind of like energy it was weird enough to be a white guy that rapped. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and so my whole thing was like I learned to rap fast on beat because that was the quickest way to show some motherfuckers that you knew what you were doing, right?
Right.
So like anytime I had an opportunity to rap, like I would get on stage and fools would look at me and they'd be kind of like, what the fuck? And then like after like 8 bars, they're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Cause that's the quickest way to get to the crowd reaction was to just be like, you know what I mean?
But you like, and I think that one of the most important factors of double time, just like fast rapping, is being audible, being like able to be heard, having a voice that cuts through the mix.
Yeah,
Like,
rapping fast where you can understand what was
Yeah.
being said as opposed to it just being like a bunch of gibberish or
that's
whatever.
what separates the Tech Nines and the Twisters from like,
From just a motherfucker trying to rap fast.
I'm a chopper.
Yeah. It's
Rapping.
definitely like there's an art to it. And I recognized that I had that skill and I definitely leaned heavy on that shit in my earlier days.
So, again, going back to early Dan, did you what is it like being like you're Mexican, but you look white?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Is there anyone that ever sees you and can tell you're Mexican?
Like I said, like where we're from, like everybody knows that like everyone's
a
a
common-
little
yeah,
Mexican.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So like white fools that speak Spanish aren't strange in that regard or whatever. But like me and my brother, we grew up skateboarding together. My brother 4 years older than me, dark hair, dark skin. Like he don't look nothing like me. A lot of our homies didn't know we were brothers for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'd find out one day and be like, what the fuck? Like y'all are related. You know what I mean? So
that's interesting.
It didn't become part of my like rap identity until the like grind time days. You know what I mean? Like, cause before that, it was like Dirtbag Dan, which is like very white boyish in execution. And like I did
in your image, you know what I mean? You're kind of like
skateboard, long hair, fucking beard, like wear Slayer shirts and shit like that.
Leaning into that, you know, Pabst in the hand and all
Dude,
that.
it definitely was a way to stand out. Like you know what I mean? There was only like Sage Francis back then that was like that fit in that mold or whatever, and completely different, obviously, but like as far as like being a white guy with a beard that could rap, there wasn't a shit ton of that, right? So like it was easier to throw people off, especially in like the freestyle battle era, to show up looking like that. Then when they see you rap and you got bars, they lose their fucking minds. You know what I mean?
It's almost like, I don't want to say novelty because novelty.
Oh, it was a cheat code for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely like a cheat code though. Yeah. But when did you realize that you actually had a like propensity and a talent for rapping?
I mean, early enough, like 16 probably. It was the first time like I entered a battle and like I'm pretty sure I won. I think it was at a party and the party got broken up before they did the final round, but I was just cooking everybody. And I remember the homies seeing me there and be like, what are you doing here? Because even these fools didn't know that there was just some skateboard kid. They knew me from like smoking weed in the parking lot and shit, but they didn't know I rapped like that. And I don't know, like you get a little fucking on stage juice or whatever, and you're like, oh God, I'm doing this shit forever. You know what I mean? I got to give it up to the homie Kung Fu Vampire.
Shouts to Kung Fu Vamp, man.
He was the first dude to ever like hand me a mic and put me on stage when I was 16 years old, as far as like in a concert setting, not in a battle setting.
He was so ahead of his time if you think about it, with
100%.
the way that like the whole gothic culture wound up fusing and becoming popularized within hip hop and all that shit.
Very ahead of his time. And like that motherfucker could rap like fast and well. And he like fucking had a fucking Impala. Like that fool, people thought he was super Mexican. Absolutely not. Like we were very like polar opposites in that sense. Right? I was like actually Hispanic, and he wasn't. But people like viewed him as that and viewed me as just some white boy. But it was like whatever works. You know what I mean? Like I ain't mad. Just let me on stage. And you know, Kung Fu is nice enough to like being one of the homies from the hood who was just a little older than me, give me an opportunity to get on stage. And the first guy I seen like be able to like record an album and do a show and have merch, and like he was a very inspirational figure in that regard.
Well, because he's like, if he's not like a full blown, I don't want to like characterize him as a juggalo. He's definitely like juggalo adjacent.
100%. And that shit came even way before that. Like before that, he was just the guy who rapped in San Jose, right?
But he had those like sensibilities which appealed to the and the same type of hustle as far as the merch.
100%. And he's smart enough to know where the money is, and like he definitely like very purposely shifted into that direction as soon as he seen that. This is a open fan base that is gonna show up to shows, buy merch, like, and he had an opportunity to get on with those artists very early on, and that put him in a position where, juggalo adjacent, you know what I'm saying? Because he never was signed to like ICP's label or Twisted's label, but he was like always at the fucking gathering, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit. And he was a very, and is still to this day, like an independent artist who like made his own way. And that, man, if you look at the way I've operated my entire career, it's a playbook I seen the homie run. You know what I'm saying?
Shouts to Kung Fu Van, man.
For real.
So, how would you describe the Zay in relationship to the rest of the Bay Area? Because although, I mean, it's a like we said earlier, the largest city in the Bay.
Yeah.
But like where it's located, it's culturally very different. Like
in a lot of ways, but as soon as the BART rolled into town, it brought the Bay with it. You know what I'm saying? Like where the separations have dissolved in a lot of ways over the
That
years.
shit was like, I remember I would go to the same motherfuckers would BART it to Fremont and then get swooped.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, take fucking bus 180 and shit.
Yeah,
Now that shit rolls right to like down the street from my house. And yeah, it made the San Jose way more like every other city in the Bay. You know what I mean? Way more like like Hayward is a city
Right.
where that's like adjacent to all these other cities, a place that nobody ever thinks of. I remember I picked up the homie from Ireland at the San Francisco airport and I drove him to San Jose and he was like tripping because he was like, the city never stopped. It just kept going the whole way. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not like, like London, you fly into the airport and then you got to drive through this like long stretch of country.
There's 6 hours of forest and there's literally dragons and fucking castles.
And then all of a sudden you're in London and
you're
it's
in
just a big ass
Sheffield.
fucking city. But no, like the Bay Area, just one city after the next city. I mean, you go Fremont, Union City, Hayward, Oakland, San Francisco. It's all connected. You know what I mean? Like you stumble from one city into the next, and we were always separate because of where BART stopped, right? And like as soon as BART rolled into town, like over a decade ago now, it definitely became more unified in that regard. But still, San Jose like has its own flavor in a lot of ways, and like we, like. It's known for like being like a techie place because those are the big industries that like people from all over the world are familiar with, Apple and Netflix and the shit people uses every day. So like you find out that's where all that shit is, then ultimately that's what you associate with that city.
So it's safe to say San Jose low key on the lowest of keys, lightweight runs the world.
I mean, the Magnificent Seven are all there and that's 25% of the stock market.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it's literally I could throw rocks at all these businesses from where I live. Like I drive by this shit every day, so.
Well, it was kind of interesting, like even during the previous, like the .com boom of the late 90s and then like you would see like all through Milpitas and then the neighboring cities, you would see like all these businesses pop up, all these new companies and tech startups, and then all of a sudden they're vacant lots and
it's crazy,
back
man.
then skateboarding in them.
It's just very like things shift. Like I said, every 10 years things become very different. I remember when we were like doing shows in downtown San Jose, like pre-grind time, when that was like my bag, and we would trade shows with the folks from out here from the Young Project Blowed, like swim team. They'd come out to San Jose and San Francisco and shit and do shows, and we'd go out to LA and do shows. It was very much like San Jose was where you going to jail in San Jose. Right. Hella cops.
I was gonna get to that actually. Like every time we go to the Zay, it's like we finna get blurbed.
So many, you get pulled over and it'd be fucking 5 cops behind you. You know what I mean?
I got blurbed one time, and they looked at my driver's license, and it said Oakland, and they're like, "Yo, just get the fuck out of here." And basically, we're just like, leave.
Man, I'll tell you what, you ain't getting pulled over out there anymore. I mean, the police force dropped off like well over a decade now, like 15 years.
Like no
Bro, it's just like every other city where they don't got time to be fucking with regular people for regular shit.
Right.
It's murders and fucking people losing their mind on the street and like a diminished police force in the sense that like there just ain't enough cops to be out there fucking with people. In South San Jose, like at certain times of the night, you got 35 police patrolling 350,000 people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like what the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck? It's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I was a kid, like you couldn't skateboard in downtown San Jose. You put down your skateboard and fucking a horse cop roll up on you and shit.
Yeah.
You get tickets and shit. Now, bro, you can skate anywhere in that city. They are not fucking with skateboarders. They got bigger fish to fry.
They're not even fucking with Vippers.
Not really. I mean, it ain't no time, bro. They have these police like community they're not even cops. They're just like after you get robbed, they show up and do the paperwork and shit. You know what I mean? Like 9 out of 10 times if you getting robbed, like
the kids that were hall monitors in high school.
Pretty much like, or maybe it's like a gateway job to being a police officer. I don't know. They drive little white cars. They can't pull you over. They can't do shit but write down on a piece of paper what you got stolen from you. And like you get your car stolen in San Jose, they'll be like, yeah, you ain't getting that back. You know what I mean? Like you'd be like, I see it. It's in the encampment right there. Those fools have it. And they're like, yeah, don't go in there.
Yeah, the thing is this.
Don't go in there. You don't want to go in there and get that. Just call your insurance. You know what I mean?
There is like multiple Skid Row-esque societies operating on the fringes. Like there's a lot of like,
oh yeah,
next to the freeways and shit like that.
Man, we certainly had like, okay, so the Jungle was in San Jose, which was the largest homeless encampment in America, if I'm not mistaken, for a long time. Well over 1,000 people like living in this like underground, under a bridge community between freeways and shit. And they broke that up and everything came to the surface. And now it's every street corner. And certainly there's a lot more people now that are in that position than there were, you know, a decade or 15 years ago when they broke it up. But still, like, again, the fact that the richest people in the world are right there next to the poorest people in the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's like it reminds me of how it was in Manila in the Philippines, where it'd be like extreme poverty and fools driving by in BMWs and shit.
Well, that's also like a very Bay Area thing. Like from the flatlands of Oakland, you could see the Oakland Hills where there's several $1 million homes.
And Oakland is like, man, it gets more extreme as you go deeper into the Bay Area. It's like we certainly have a much larger houseless community than Oakland, but god damn, it's crazy out there.
Yeah, it's bad over there right now.
It's wild.
And in addition to that, you know, like there's like beyond like the homeless people, like just like the discrepancy of wealth and the lack of a middle class.
Yeah, man.
Like Marin County is a crazy example of that. Like you got the pink palaces over there in Marin City, and you could literally see from the projects. There's Corte Madera, which has $15 million homes within a stone's throw.
I mean, San Francisco, if you look at the real estate out there, that's like how much it costs to live directly next to fucking an open air drug market. It's like you can't afford to live in this apartment. You know what I'm saying? Like it's wild.
And Frisco is actually it's weird. It's in a particularly dark phase of the city right now.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people have relocated to Oakland and Hayward. And
yeah, man. People get tired of that shit. It's like. You know, they passed laws that were intended to make life easier for people that were living in those like rough, like the hardest kind of life that you could live. And instead they just like created an incentive for people to fucking rob fools and like have access to free needles and shit like that. And it's like, man, very necessary. But, the way that it was done, the way that these things were rolled out were like haphazardly and in a way that ended up making things a lot worse than better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's
crazy how compassion can fuck shit up sometimes.
Yeah, or just it's a thin line between compassion and just like bleeding heart liberalism and
man, it's like you got people that are doing shit just to do it. Like in San Jose, motherfuckers was building dog parks like on top of these encampments, and it's like no one's bringing their dog out here.
Yeah,
fucking eat a meth bag while they're playing in the park. It's like no one's doing that shit.
Francine the Poodle's not trying to do no skante.
But it's like they just want to say like whatever city councilman did that shit just wants to say, oh, I built 10 dog parks. He's like, yeah, well, 2 of them are in fucking the shits, homie. No one's going out there.
Right.
But it's just a stat to put on the board. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of that. A lot of like thoughtless things that were meant to make things better, but ultimately make things worse.
So, yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
Man, we can talk about this shit all day.
No, I love it. So, growing up out there, you start rapping. Sure, this is like 4-track era, would you say?
Oh yeah, there was no studios, right? Yeah. And yeah, I remember having like a digital 16 and being like, oh my God, we could do backups.
Yeah, wow, 16.
4 people could be on a track and we could all have a backup track.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, yeah.
Oh, you fancy, huh?
Pre like digital audio workstations, pre like any kind of like Pro Tools or anything like even adjacent, you know? So there wasn't any opportunity to get in the studio, so you go to open mics or you go to battles, and that's all. That's why I ended up being a battle rapper, is because like that shit was second nature. You had to battle if you wanted to rap. You want to show up and rap, like someone's going to try to battle you. You're either going to back off or fucking step up. You know what I mean?
So you wound up becoming a part of, to me, one of the most interesting collectives of artists of all time. And they're called the Thunder Hut Project, for those who don't
Shouts
know.
out to my Thunder Hut familia, man. Like
Yeah.
all those dudes will be like my brothers forever because we were crew like way early in this shit. But yeah, we were a very
Eclectic.
yeah, a bunch of different, like everybody rapped different, everybody looked different. And I was like one of the last people to join Thunder Hut.
Yeah.
And one of the only ones that had like solo work. Everybody else it was all crew oriented.
You had kind of been pre-established and then brought in.
Well, we did shows together all the time, and at some point they were like, "Dude, yo, Dan's in the hut." You
Right.
know what I mean? So then, and that's just how it worked out, basically.
The thing, so just to describe Thunder Hut, Thunder Hut was a group that I believe started in Santa Cruz.
100%.
Although-
definitely started in Santa Cruz.
Most of y'all are from the Zay. I think a couple of y'all.
Well, they moved to San Jose,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we started like joining, like different people joined the crew that were from San Jose, like me. But it was like originally, I feel like it was like grunge and Cutter and who was what did he used to go by then? KO?
KO Device.
KO Device. Yeah.
And look,
XI.
yeah. Well, XI came a little later.
And
too,
he
I
was
think.
from
Yeah.
San Jose.
Yeah,
he was
he's
from
the Zay.
North San Jose.
He's from
So,
the Zay.
Yeah.
Cutter's from the Zay, I think, right? Yeah. Or is he from Santa Cruz?
I think he's a Santa
He might
Cruz
be
dude.
Santa
I think
Cruz.
he's a
Yeah,
Santa
yeah,
Cruz
yeah,
dude for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And there was like an original set of Thunder Hut dudes that didn't come over with the rest of them.
Yeah.
That were like always crew, but like stayed in San Francisco and or Santa Cruz, and were ultimately like more graffiti dudes than they
Right.
were rappers, anyways. So,
I
yeah.
had this dream for years, and the longer time passes, the more unrealistic it becomes.
Oh, yeah.
Although it could still occur, and that would be, I've always wanted to do a documentary about Thunder Hut. I'm pretty sure I've told you this a couple times.
Yeah, I think
The
so.
reason being just because of how eccentric
Yeah.
and interesting all of y'all are, and the different directions and twists and turns all of your lives took,
Yeah.
and how it, you know what I mean, unfolded. So like just the folklore of the hut is so interesting because it started out in a little like shitty hut, essentially like a small house in Santa Cruz,
Yeah.
that had a broken down Thunderbird parked in front of it. So it was the Thunder Hut.
Thunder Hut.
And there's a group of like punk rock white boys, essentially.
Pretty much, for the
tatted
most
up.
part.
You had never seen anything like the only thing similar remotely was the Shapeshifters in LA.
And yeah,
Like,
and totally, and like we had a connection with the younger Project Blow dudes,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
swim
yeah.
team,
Yeah.
No Can very
Yeah.
specifically, Kale, AOK, like those dudes were the homies. So they would come here and do shows, and we would go there and do shows, and we were very much influenced by them rap wise, and I think that they liked us because of how crazy we were. To
Yeah.
put on stage, it was like 8 or 9 dudes, and we're all kind of going nuts, and it was a wild show.
The reason why it'd be such a cool documentary also is because like I could do a Dirtbag Dan documentary, which would be fascinating. You know,
But it was 8 of me.
there's a bunch of
bunch
y'all,
of
yeah,
just
who are
different
all
dudes, that-
different.
not the same at all, but like had crazy backstories and did crazy stuff and came from crazy places. Like yeah,
Like
it was
Joe
wild.
Cutter, as we said, FKA KO Device.
Yeah.
You know, he was a sight to behold back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he still is, and he's still a great artist.
And
but-
XI
but
was like
a child prodigy.
totally like he was younger than all of us and rapped better than all of us.
Like, yeah, XI was like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And to this day, I have met very few people
Yeah.
that could technically rap as good as him. But he was this little, big-headed, looked like Timmy from South Park, white
Yep.
boy.
Yep,
and
yep,
that
totally.
was a savant level rapper.
Had a really great voice too.
Really, really like just distinct voice that cut through.
Yeah.
He could be on stage with the shittiest sound system, and you
Grunge was definitely the leader and kind of
Right.
like held everything together. Like for as long as it was together, it was because of grunge.
like
100%.
grunge who would like who was like this tall, gangly dude with like sometimes he'd have a mohawk and like
kick his foot out and go, oh.
Yeah, and with the coolest sneakers on
Oh
always.
yeah, oh yeah, slick ass dude. And he, it's not
Now the owner of Cookies Clothing.
not a surprise that he went on to be like someone very involved in like Bay Area fashion and like how people dress in general.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
huge influence on just fashion, streetwear. It was super early on the wave of all that. But now literally one of the owners of Cookies.
Yeah.
And, Cutter, who's like still out there skateboarding and been fighting his addiction and his.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the most interesting documentary would be.
Man, I mean, what about Atomic? Who like?
And there's Atomic who became
this fool is like straight 1%er. Fucking
yeah, became a fucking
wild
gang member.
And then you got Micah Roch is like a crazy tattoo dude.
Roch, the one black member of the crew the one black member who was the first black dude I ever saw wearing skinny jeans. Like
he was way ahead of shit.
Like before Kid Cudi and all these. And
he
the
was
cool
way
kids.
ahead of shit.
I remember looking at Roch back in the day. So I remember the first time I seen him in skinny jeans, and I was like, "Why are you dressed like that?" You know what I mean? But he was like just way ahead of the curve, and ahead of his time. And now he's a world-class tattoo artist.
Yep.
You got Johnny Five, who wound up becoming like one of the biggest lighting techs.
Yeah, and like always was like a working man.
Yeah,
like Johnny was always like a working
blue
man,
collar,
100%. And he always like had his shit together more than like most of us.
Yeah.
And then Micah was like the fucking laid back, fucking like cruiser riding, fucking like weed,
hipster fucking bitches getting tattoos.
100%, like the OG hipster rapper. You know what I mean? Yeah, we all like filled a separate niche in our own ways or whatever, and like we're very different. But then on stage, like we kind of seamlessly would transition into each other. You know what I mean? Like
and
as far
beat
as
people up at shows.
not afraid to. Well, it's good when you're
down to fight.
When you're a group of 9 people, like, hey, it's good, man. You want to fucking go outside? We can go outside. We're outside. You know what I mean?
Joe Cutter, aka KO Device, at that time, to me, was like one of the coolest rappers. And like he's still dope, but like he was so far ahead with his punchlines. And he had this style, like he was like a Bay Area Caddy Ron almost. You know what I mean? Like
and he totally was like the most inclined to battle, and he got into it later than like me and XI. Right. But like realistically, his style was catered for it.
Super catered for it, punchlines, and was talking about like fucking gothic zombie bitches, like and corpses, and you know what I mean, like
our like subject matter was way left for sure.
So the first Dirtbag Dan song I ever heard, all right. This is a classic, right?
I used to love the bitch.
I used to love the bitch, but I had to kill her. I'm down in a bar in Mexico, sipping Soup City sarsaparilla.
So that was like me, like taking like Johnny Cash and like Jimi Hendrix and being like, oh, well, what if there was a hip hop song about this like very common subject in music? You know what I mean? Hey Joe, fucking Cocaine Blues, like these were songs that I listened to a lot as a kid and was like, oh yeah, I could just do a rap version of that, right?
It was so outside the box, and you were like, like you were young as hell at the time. You were probably like 19,
maybe 18, 19, 18,
And the first time I seen like you said, it was a sight to behold. Like Thunderhut performing, like all these, like it looks like a punk rock group.
Yeah.
But then y'all are all rapping
but
your
no
ass
instruments.
Off. Yeah, no instruments.
They're like, yo, where's the drums? You know what I mean?
And then like it's Get 'Em Dirt. It was always all right, Get 'Em Dirt. Then you would do an acapella, and then you doing the double time shit, doing that song that I just remember instantly. And we used to remember like have the song competitions.
Oh yeah,
and you would murder those.
I used to smoke fools in the song competitions.
Yeah,
because I would practice a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and that was one thing that like we didn't do a lot of as a crew. You know what I mean? Like we would just individually show up and we'd be like, all right, this is how this one goes. You, then you, then you, then you. And most of the time, like we only knew each other's verses or had each other's backs because we had heard that verse multiple times or whatever. But it would be like different beats we were rapping on all the time. Like it was a very ever-changing thing, and like kind of haphazardly we would do every single show. Like very rarely were we prepared for any performance.
And it was dope that y'all would rap over like traditional Bay Area mob shit.
Oh, yeah,
like,
for
you
sure,
were rapping
for
on
sure.
like the beats that wound up being like the precursor to the modern Detroit,
Yeah.
Oakland, Stockton sound.
Yeah, because
you know what
we
I
all
mean?
grew
like,
up listening to like the romper room tapes.
Yeah,
and
you're
shit.
listening
so we're
to
like,
Mac Dre. You're listening to
like, oh, that's how we want to
RBL,
rap.
You feel me?
Totally.
Like, you know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
All that shit, and it was like nothing I had ever seen. And we, you know, us, we were up in Oakland, and we loved y'all instantly. I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we connected. So there's some like really interesting folklore from the early days of the Hut. Like for example, KO Device was in a rap battle and got hit in the head with the boombox.
Yep.
Did
Yep.
you see that happen?
No, I think that was just before I had joined the Hut, but
Okay.
the story was prominent in the scene for sure.
And it was
Like,
because of a battle. He
yes, definitely. Yeah. And that's why I was like, he was battling before any of us and had a style catered to it. But like when like grind time started, like it was me and XI that kind of jumped in first.
Well, and it also like, and fools kind of evolved in different directions, and like, you know, and like, and motherfuckers had that. What's up, Trap? Motherfuckers had their, you know, issues with drugs and all that shit that inhibited. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You guys, like, do you have any crazy Thunder Hut party stories from back in the day? Party or fade stories?
I mean, we would just.
Because y'all were known for beating people up.
And just getting shitty.
Yeah.
Just getting shitty. And I had a look that lent itself to me being shitty all the time. Nothing, I mean, all the good ones, bro.
Well,
like
I remember,
battling for sneakers and fucking.
Yeah, I want to
like,
talk about that definitely. I remember one time we had a show with y'all at, what was it called, like the Blue Lagoon? That other.
oh yeah, Santa Cruz, Blue Lagoon. Yeah.
A venue in Santa Cruz called the Blue Lagoon. We wound up getting in a fight with a bunch of gutter punks like Delmon. Like we had a bunch of our homies from the town, and somebody had said something racist.
Santa Cruz is a very like locals only, bro.
Very low.
Place.
It's like the Venice of, you know what I mean?
For
It's,
sure.
It's like a beach community, very
Yeah,
insular.
fools are very like, where are you from, bro? You're
Yeah.
not from here, bro. Like,
and
yeah.
there's like racial beef and like weird shit that goes
Fucking
on.
goofy
like,
white boys.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Goofy surfing ass white boys. You trying to catch my wave, bro?
Right. Yeah. And this one fool, I remember like, we were out there, and it just so happened that a bunch of our goony ass homies from East Oakland had rolled with us, right? And he used to rap with this dude named Grand Marnier. He's still my boy, great dude, right? But he was like straight out the trenches. He's from the 50s out there in East Oakland. And he was doing the show with us. So, of course, like the hood rolls with him. So East Oakland is deep in the function, right? But we get there hours early. So we're kind of all just walking around Santa Cruz doing our thing, blah, da, 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 da. Like I almost get in a fight with these, like two like teenage norteños try to like bang on me because I had a fucking
A lot of that out there,
yeah,
too.
like I had a big this was like during the time when fools would wear like the big fake like Run DMC chains.
Yeah.
However, they were like looking at me, and I'm all Adderalled out, so I'm like ready for action or whatever, you feel me? And these fools walk up, and I hear them talking like, yo, look at this chain. Like they're talking about chain. I was like, what's up? Y'all like my chain? What's up? And they're like, it's a nice chain, bro. Like they were kids, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, how much is it? I was like, 10 racks. Try to take it. Like, so we're like getting into all kinds of stupid shit. This fool Ajax, my brother, you know, Ajax very well, walks up to me, and for those that don't know Ajax, he's like, he's a black dude and a very darkly complected black dude.
Also,
you feel me?
fucking
like,
yacked forever.
Yacked as
like
fuck.
always
you feel
had
me?
some
Like,
guns on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yacked as fuck. You feel me? Like this fool walks up, and he looked really upset. I'm like, Jax, what's wrong? He's like, hey man, these fools just called me the N-word down the street with the ER. Da, 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 da. I'm like, for real? Say word? And he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, I walk across the street. I'm like, show me where they at. They like over there, da 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 da. Like, and I go over there just to do a little temperature check. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'm strolling by, whatever. You feel me? It's a bunch of gutter punks. They all posted up. Gutter punks. Look at me. I have the chain on. I take like a few steps. I hear them starting to talk about me, right? And then they're like, oh, look at his chain. Da, 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 da. And then like maybe like 5 steps past them, I stop, and they're like, "Oh, he's turning around." Like they're like referencing it, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I turn around, and then they're like, and this is how cued in. This is how racist this guy was, right? This guy was so racist and on point with his racism. He instantly identifies me as an Italian. He's like, "You're Italian, huh?" Like,
Start throwing the W word at you.
No. It's even better because he's like, I'm half Sicilian, which is like the funny thing is,
Yeah.
funny if you know about Italians, like we don't like Italians and Sicilians. Don't fuck with each other. Like that's like so. And that was his way of basically telling me like I don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, say a word. You know, he's like, what you doing over here? And I'm like, oh, just looking for looking for my homies, looking for my friends. You feel me? He's like, where your friends at? I'm like, I think they're over there somewhere. He's like, you should go to where your friends are. So I'm like, all right, for sure. You want me to do that? For sure, right? So I go back. I don't even tell the homies what's going on. I just walk up to my bitch and I take all the weed out of my pocket, start handing when I should take my chain up, like, yo, I'm about to run it. Like the homies catch wind, something's going on. Like I start walking down the street. I look behind me, it looked like the motherfucking black version of the Warriors all of a sudden. We like fucking 20 deep, stomping down Pacific Ave. We get to these fools, they get up and start like booking it instantly. Half of them, the other fools get stomped out. I remember saying a prayer on our way home. I was like, I hope one of these fools didn't die. But the Thunder Hut part of the story is wound up going to the craziest house party. I think it was like adamantium, and then we're throwing it. So we're at some house party, and I remember
Slop opera.
Slop opera.
Shouts out to Slop
Shouts
Opera.
to Slop opera. We're partying, and there's all these like ratchet white bitches with tats. You feel me? That before is like the early era of Suicide Girls.
Oh yeah.
What was the other vixens? They were called y'all called them vixens. And there's this one bitch, and she was pretty bad, and like she was like all the homies are getting some pussy. This bitch walks up to KO to cut her, and she's like, you're hot. And then he's like me and him are doing blow, and then he's like, yeah. She's all, I want to suck your dick. You feel me? And then he's like, do a line off my dick. You feel me? Like this fool then I'm like, what the fuck? Like I look over at like the other homies. I look back and then Cutter's just in the middle of the fucking kitchen, in the middle of a party, getting his dick sucked by someone. I was like, yo, these fools are fucking rock stars.
Yeah, wild boys, man.
Real
wild boys
rock
out there
stars,
doing
bro.
wild shit for sure.
But what's interesting about you is you have been with the same lady
forever
since high school, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
15?
Yeah. No, well, I graduated when I was 18 and she was 17, so like.
So you're committing statutory rape.
Pretty much, legally, 20 years ago or whatever. Fucking, no. But yeah, no, we were teenagers.
Yeah.
I was an adult at that point.
Yeah.
But, and she, like I said, she was like 17. But yeah, teenagers still, right?
No, it's totally like.
I consider that. Fuck, I see an 18-year-old now. I'm like, that's a baby.
They're all kids. Yeah,
that's a baby.
1000%. But so you, throughout all these shenanigans and your entire time touring, like beyond, because we'll get into the trajectory, but your career extended far beyond Thunder Hut. But even through those shenanigans and you traveling the world,
always have my lady.
You've been loyal. I've never seen you.
Well, it's just, you know what? That shit kept me centered and focused on the goal, right? And like I can't tell you how many of the
your
homies.
wife is one of the coolest.
Coolest
I love
fuck.
her,
and always super supportive.
Rachel, that's my sis. You feel me?
But I'll tell you, especially through like when the battle shit started taking off and you start getting on planes and going to different countries and shit like that, like I watched so many of the homies
cheat on their bitches
or get fucked up. Nah, like it's whatever, do your thing. But like fuck up or get fucked up because behind a bitch, like walk down a dark alley following a bitch and then you get fucking jacked,
set up,
or
you
like
fall asleep in a hotel room when your chains are
if
gone.
you're ever gonna be a victim, it's gonna be on the back of you chasing pussy. You know what I'm saying? So it was like definitely kept me centered in the sense that like I was always there to do a job, and at the end of the night, like I could kick back and have fun, but what I wasn't gonna do was follow a bitch into a dark alley. You know what I'm saying?
You've always been nothing but like, you're the type of dude that like I would imagine. And although I was at your wedding and I did cry at your wedding,
beautiful,
admittedly, it was
beautiful
a
wedding,
beautiful wedding. Like you seem like the kind of guy that at your bachelor party would, like, if a stripper tried to twerk on you, and make you uncomfortable. Like,
we had a fun bachelor party. San Francisco's wild for that shit.
But you just seem like you're so.
I'll tell you what we didn't do was like go have some bitch do blow off my dick at the bachelor
Right.
party. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, lap dance, that's fine. You
Right.
know what I mean? That's actually legal, and I'm fucking, employing someone for a moment. Hey, good job, you did
Right.
great. Here's a tip. You know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm saying? But
I
yeah,
support sex
definitely
workers.
centered in the sense that I wasn't like never throughout my entire rap career was I out chasing around bitches.
No.
And again, like I watched so many people lose focus and fall into bad shit behind, just that extra going that extra mile to fucking chase a piece of pussy, for a lack
Yeah.
of a better term. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, which is like, I mean, quite admirable, and like beyond admirable is something that I envy, because I've been someone that has,
I watched Lush.
yeah.
Oh, I done seen it.
You've like been like relatively close with multiple of my girlfriends and wives.
Yeah,
and
they're all
like,
cool, man.
Yeah,
They're all cool chicks. All really
I have
cool.
a great Pokemon card collection.
All really
You feel
cool
me?
ladies.
Right.
Shouts out to Lush's ladies.
And you feel me? LOL, ladies on Lush. And you've definitely seen me fuck up and cheat on hoes.
Hey,
and all that
it is.
shit.
Again, it is what it is, man. Like, I definitely never like looked down on the homies for not being able to be in a fucking monogamous relationship. Like, man, harder than easier sometimes, right? But at the end of the day, like, I had something to go home to, and that's what kind of kept me on point for so long. You know what I mean? And like, I definitely witnessed the difference between having something to go home to and not. And it didn't look cool to me. It didn't look like something I wanted to like dive into head first. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, certainly an advantage as I saw it.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's a cheat code. It's a get out of jail free card. It's
Like I remember being in Sweden, and beautiful young lady comes and sits down on my lap, and I'm like, hey.
It's not cracking, shorty.
Sorry, but in the nicest fucking way possible.
Get off me, bitch.
Yeah, get the fuck up, push her on you. No, I'm like,
fucking cunt.
I'm like, hey, I'm married. Probably not great for you to be sitting on my lap right
Yeah.
now. And like the reaction to that, man, ladies do not like to be turned down in that regard.
Also kind of like makes like when women can sense that you're not interested.
Yeah.
And you have the pheromones of pussy on you because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that it's being not interested. That's
Yeah.
just like that's so everybody else is so fucking thirsty
That makes
if you're
them
the
wanna
one that's
fuck you even more,
that's
so, like-
satiated, then they're like, oh my god, look at that motherfucker.
So that becomes kind of like not a challenge, but like it just becomes interesting because
That's cool.
probably-
I could like halfway flirt with a bitch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Until you come and sit in my lap, and then I got to tell you, because one of these fucking battle dicks will take a picture of it and fucking blow it up on a poster, and then be in my next battle like, you're a fucking scumbag. You know what
that
I
should
mean?
be
Like,
an automatic
I'm good.
grounds for a DP if someone does some shit like that.
Yeah,
You
but
just
how many?
act
But I
the
mean,
fuck
Caustic
out.
did it in the most famous way possible.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. The homie did that.
The homie did that.
Yeah.
And we all
Good for
remember
him.
it fondly. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying?
when the
Like,
homie does it, it don't count.
Hey, shouts.
And we don't even
Shouts
know-
out to Jefferson Price, wherever you are.
Is Jefferson Price really a real person? Though?
Eh, not anymore.
Yeah,
He
I don't
disappeared
think-
from the map.
Yeah, that was
Caustic fucking 30'd him so bad that he had to go into witness protection.
that. It's so funny. When I was at No Jumper, like a year and a half ago or whatever, when I was working there, and the homie house phone was like, he's like, I barely have ever seen a rap battle. Like, show me a rap battle. What's a rap battle that I should watch? That'll like. And I was like, what's something that I know would entertain this guy? And I was like, let me just show you Caustic ruining Jefferson Price's marriage.
Man, the way you are like able to see his face, like his soul, like come out of his fucking body when Caustic starts dropping those bars.
Yeah.
And because he knows his lady is just like in the audience watching. It's a rare sight to behold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very rare, because we're all like battling in the set. Like sometimes it's very heated, but most of the time it's like a good nature thing, and there's definitely like a sportsman aspect to it. So you're like, fucking good show. It's even when someone's fucking you up, you're like, yeah, he got me. But
Right.
in that moment right there, you watched a man fucking his soul leave his body, literally turn fucking pale white, like, oh my God.
Yeah, so yeah, but if you're not one of the homies and you do some shit like that, you're a buster.
Yeah, I mean, hey, what I told Caustic called me.
Yeah.
he was in London. He called me and he was like, this fool came to the hotel room and asked me not to say these bars because he heard I was going to say these bars. And I was like, well, these motherfuckers already got your number out there. Somebody else is already telling him your bars. I said, homie, who is that guy? Is that your friend? Fuck that dude.
Yeah, fuck him.
Wash him, bro. Ruin his marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here I am, like a happily married dude, like knowing the consequences of that. But at the same time, it's like, bro, that ain't our friend.
I remember.
Who cares?
That's so funny. I remember like when I was setting up battles, and I think it was like Chase Moore versus like Caustic or Peanut or something. It was like 2009, and when these fools were all first kind of getting started or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Chase like, "Hey, battle this fool," and he's like, "Yeah, but no, like we're like homies. Like we've been like talking a lot the past few months." And I was like, "Yeah, but how good of homies are you really?"
Yeah,
you feel me?
That was a classic battle line.
Yeah.
When you'd be like, you should battle this fool, and he'd be like, that's my friend. But like are y'all really friends? Or are y'all
It's
just
like,
internet friends?
Yeah, it's like y'all are not. That's not the homie.
You don't kick it with
You don't
him
know
every
his
day.
mom's name.
No, yeah,
You've
come on, man.
You feel me? Like, you can't walk into his crib, his parents' crib when he's not there, and walk in the fridge.
I mean, I got five friends, and none of them are battlers.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
It's like,
Like,
yeah.
that's not your boy.
Yeah, real shit.
Do not get it twisted. And what made battle rap hot back then is we fucked with each other, but like there's that,
Yeah, oh yeah. And a
We're
lot
gladiators.
of people that were friends ended up battling and then really becoming friends after the battle. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because there's definitely like a mutual level of respect that you get from that kind of fucking, you know what I mean, exchange with somebody. Like I always said, me and PH were super close because we battled and like there was some animosity going into it, but like after it was like, it's like when you fight someone and then you're like, man, good, you got some fucking licks off on me, like good shit, homie. Like a lot of respect for people after you go to war with them, basically.
1000%. 1000%. So shouts to the chat going crazy. You feel me?
Oh yeah,
Y'all-
man. I
y'all-
forgot there
y'all
are
know what
people
it
watching
is.
this.
Yeah. The chat's going
I'm
crazy.
just having a conversation with my homie over here.
Yeah, no, this is my brother right here. My brother from another.
We out
fucking
here
brother.
talking about 20-year-old shit, man.
Yeah.
This is how long I known this dude for.
With that being said, like, share, subscribe, run it up. You feel me?
All that.
We got a bunch. And now this is going to be a clip that we're going to do for the Mad Deep channel because you feel me. I feel like this clip right here pertains to our audience over there on that channel a lot. You being born and raised in San Jose, you feel me?
Yeah, man.
Mexican American.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on who has the best Mexican food in California?
Man.
Is it Los Angeles? Is it San Diego? Is it Stockton? Is it San Jose?
What are we talking about? Because it's different for different places have different shit that's better, right? Like
I don't want to hear a
some places
politically correct answer.
I'm not saying a politically correct
Speak
answer.
from your
I'm
heart.
saying in the Bay Area, we got the best burritos. You can't fuck with the burritos that you get in the Bay Area. I've been to San Diego. I've been all around out here, had all the burrito shit. I had one yesterday. Nah, bro. First of all, you don't have orange sauce. So just right off the bat, you lost the game.
I'm not gonna lie. The orange sauce in San Jose, and I thought that was a strictly
Originated at La Victoria,
Yeah,
but
La
like
Vic.
the guy who had the recipe, he fucking sold it to a few different restaurants.
So now they
there's
all got
off
the
top,
orange
there's
sauce.
3 like Iguanas, La Victoria, and then there was a place called Muchos that those 3 were like they had the best and most original orange sauce. And then there was other places that like tried to make it, but were just like off on an ingredient in a way here or there. But the thing about orange sauce is, bro, you put that shit on a hot dog.
That's what I was gonna say. Like that orange sauce on some eggs, like
Bro,
you feel me?
I used to put it on, you know, like when you make spaghetti and you have leftovers and then it's kind of like dried out. There's not enough sauce.
Yeah.
Bro, you hit that shit with the orange sauce, you got spicy spaghetti.
Re-rock that hoe.
Oh, so good.
Re-rock that hoe.
that shit literally put it on pizza. It goes on everything.
Yeah.
So like just for the fact that like you can get a really like high quality burrito and then put the orange sauce on it, bro, y'all are not fucking with us in that regard. I feel like
Tacos.
out here,
LA.
I mean, LA, yeah, or down south. And like, and like, ain't nothing really cool about San Diego but the beach, if I'm being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't got a good music scene. You want to go watch 50 Sublime cover bands and shit? Like, yeah, whatever. Enjoy that.
Now,
and
to
then
be
don't even
fair-
talk to me about like Texas or Arizona or other states. Yeah, no, you don't got it. Get the fuck out of
The
here.
funny thing about like there is a really fire Mexican food in Texas, but it's not Tex-Mex. It'll be like traditional style, the same taquerias we got out here.
Sure.
But when they put in the fucking melted nacho cheese on everything and all that, like,
I mean,
whatever,
I'm sure it's good.
That's just not it. That's not him.
Not at all.
Like,
and I'm sure it's good and I'm sure it's great, but it's also in Texas. So just by that standard alone,
right,
drops down a couple notches.
And I've had some fire in Arizona. I've had some fire, like, shouts to New Mexico for the motherfucking, for the chili verde.
Yeah,
you feel me? Chili rellenos, you feel me? Like,
there's some unique New Mexico shit.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, nah, it's not hitting like the Mexican food hits out in California in general.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually have the same answer, and what people don't know is that.
And he lives in both places.
Yeah, so. I'm an LA boy, but I'm Bayed out as fuck.
More LA boy than anything else. So for him to be like, yeah, the burritos are better in the Bay Area.
I'll say
notes.
I'll say this,
and don't even talk to me about this.
There's mainly a Chicano audience that's going to be watching this, and mainly from Sur Califas.
And they're gonna be mad.
They're gonna be mad.
They're gonna be mad. But come out to San Jose, go to Iguanas, get a burrito, put some orange sauce on it, and then tell me, and then talk to me about it.
And what people don't realize, and you can look this up, burritos were invented in San Francisco, hence the term the San Francisco burrito. Like,
well, hey, I mean, like, and it's heat out there. Like, it's hard for me to even say when we're talking about the Bay Area, I'm talking about the Bay Area as a whole. I wouldn't say San Jose has the best burritos.
Right.
Not at all. I would say probably Oakland, San Francisco.
Oakland got some all the Oakland taco trucks go in.
Oh man.
Yeah.
The famous Oakland taco truck.
Yeah.
And their tacos are damn near fucking with anybody.
On 22nd on an E1 You feel me? Yeah.
Like, that shit is legendary, bro. But, you know, again, like, I'll give it up to LA for the tacos. Like, I've had some of the best tacos I ever had in my life out here. You know what I mean?
Also, so as far as San Jose, there is a musical resurgence right now. As far as there's a lot of Chicano rappers from San Diego that are actually going up.
Well, good shit, man. Because for years it was like ain't nothing out there but
Lil Rob and fucking like.
I mean, even like post that, like or before that, it was like. Just a bunch of fucking Sublime cover bands.
There's a lot there's a lot of like white boy type shit, but then
fucking surf reggae.
There's always had love for Mitchie Slick, who's he's fire. Fucking now there's fools like Maru. There's Lil
You gotta
Weirdo.
remember, I'm fucking 40 years old, so I'm not talking about like. Post 2010
right.
It's not in my wheelhouse.
Right.
And I would not speak on that shit.
Right.
I don't mean to fucking disrespect.
But
I'm saying,
you know what's good though.
Homie, the beach. Y'all got the beach. Enjoy the beach. It's a beautiful beach. Beautiful, way nicer than any of these LA beaches.
And Dago.
Bro, like, you can't even go to the beaches in Northern California. It's cold as fuck.
Oh yeah, ain't no beaches in
unless
California.
you like to fucking surf, bro.
Yeah, go to Mavericks and get bit by great white sharks.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like you can fucking enter the biggest wave competition and die on the rocks. Like, yeah, you got us. You got us on the beach.
My brother
Enjoy
Flex
the beach.
will fight me right now if I diss Alameda Beach, which is pretty much like a trash heap with with waves, like. But that's like the beach of Oakland. Like, come on, fool.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. And Ocean Beach or in Frisco, you're submerged in fog.
Yeah, and it's freezing ass cold, bro. It's not like, what you would think of when you think of the beach.
That's not California.
No,
like,
not. Yeah, it's definitely down here.
Yeah.
And definitely San Diego has the nicer.
San Diego got bitches. You feel me? Of all different flavors.
Yes,
but
homie, you can have all that.
But I agree, and you know what?
You're not beating us on Mexican food.
Overall, they're I would like say that the best Mexican food probably is in San Diego. I just haven't had it.
Yeah.
From what I've had,
people texting me and shit. They're hella mad. No, I'm just
take me to the bomb Mexican spots in San Jose. I will do a whole motherfucking blog on that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Anytime. Iguanas is like my favorite, right? Because it's like a family-owned restaurant. And
Iguanas go crazy.
They've chained out, and like they've only ever gotten better over time. Like La Victoria chained out and got significantly worse.
They're kind of watered down now.
Oh, it's like not good Mexican food, but really good orange sauce, right?
Yeah.
But like Muchos used to be my favorite, but as Iguanas got bigger, they got better.
That's why if people don't know about San Jose, though, like it's like suggesting someone go to Baja Fresh, damn near.
Oh
like,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
or,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Chipotle.
yeah. Homie, go to Iguanas. That's what I'm. If you're gonna like judge us on anything, go there. And everything about the place is cool. The vibe,
just
the
like,
people,
If
everything.
you just walk through the hoods of San Jose, you're gonna stumble upon a mom and pop's Mexican spot that might not even have a.
There's 3 in my neighborhood that fucking smack harder than like anywhere else I've had shit in the world.
Right,
You know what
that's
I mean?
what I'm
Like,
saying. There's
yeah.
a lot of that going on now.
All the mercados got like some of like just a random ones got like the best fucking breakfast burrito or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's everybody's got their own little flavor, but I just feel like the Bay Area in general, burritos on lock, and I don't want to have a conversation about it. Period.
What's your thoughts on the wet burritos?
It's not my cup of tea. I like to be able to like.
Hold that
It's
motherfucker.
a fucking working man's food. You know what I mean? We can eat and fucking do shit with the, hit the hammer over here, eat the burrito over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be like eating a burrito on a plate with a fork and a knife. Like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Of all the amazing lexicon that E40 has introduced to not just the Bay Area and the rap game, but the world at large, him calling a fat joint a mummy-sized burrito has got to be one of the greatest.
Fire. So much legendary slang
Just so much.
for the whole world to partake.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of people don't even know where they got shit from. Like, it was 40.
That's
it
the
was
soil.
40.
That's the soil. Yeah. Now, being up in the Bay, I'm born and raised in LA. When I first moved up there, I'm not like a fighting type dude. I'll get down if I have to. I'm about to catch a fade later on. You feel me?
It's fucking
like
cool.
it is what it is. You
no,
feel me?
man. How about don't? How about just tell homie, hey, bro, I'm a grown ass man, and we don't need to do that. That's ridiculous.
But when I wasn't a grown ass man, and in my early, when I was 19 years old and first moved up there, I got in a lot of fights, and a lot of them were over fools dissing me and dissing LA, and I hadn't really learned how to like assimilate or acclimate to Bay Area culture yet, to the point where like I really stood out from the way I dressed, like I was wearing khakis and I'd be wearing like the, certain attire that
I thought you were from Oakland.
well, by the time
I met you, I thought you were from Oakland. I was like, oh yeah, Lush, he from Oakland.
Yeah, and that's because like I wound up become just like Tupac. You feel me? Like,
oh yeah.
I got my game. I got so much game, and got laced by the town so much and turned out that after like my first year, and like I wasn't just I was in the trenches of East Oakland, like in the jacks, running around with with real pimps and real D-boys, and that shit shaped who I am as a person to this day.
For sure.
To the point where like. Oakland is in my DNA, and you ask a lot of the homies from back, they'll say, "Oh, Lush from the town." They get mad at me for being from LA. You feel me? Like, but like there is obviously like this huge. There's all these politics. We don't need to get into specific names and shit because we don't really use certain words on this channel. But between Northern Cali and Southern Cali,
Absolutely.
Mexicans,
Yeah. And San Jose is very specifically falls on one side of that spectrum.
It falls on one side, but there's that action goes on
Way more
between
now.
those sides.
It used to just be one side and that's it. And then over the course of the last like decade or two, like it became way more prevalent that there were both sides and that there was funk in that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like the Mission District always had that funk. Like
100%.
You feel me?
And
like,
I mean, like that's
it's
why
blue over here, it's red over here.
But like that's why the food is so good.
Yeah,
I mean, you get the best pupusas in all of California and San Francisco, right there on Cesar Chavez. Like that shit was amazing, bro.
San Jose to me is the most Southern Cali-esque town in the Bay, or so, you know what I mean? Like it has, although it's so quintessentially Bay Area, there's a lot of elements of it that remind me more of LA than anywhere else up north. You know what I mean?
I guess it's because of the way that it's like less hilly, everything's less packed in. Like you take surface streets for a long time to get from one place to the other. Like in that regard, yeah, I think so. It has that vibe, but certainly a Bay Area town through.
It's for sure. It's for sure. Does that like sometimes people will be like, oh, San Jose's not the Bay. Da, da, da.
I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think that certainly back in the day, like that was the thing, and now it's just like, Yeah,
That's
man.
so
Dude, the
wrong.
fucking 49ers play in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Which is basically San Jose,
Yeah.
right? So, like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's as much of a Bay Area place as fucking Oakland, San Francisco, Vallejo, like any of those well-known cities. Like, I think San Jose has certainly become more associated with the Bay Area over the last whatever 10 years, especially like I said, once a BART rolled in, homie, now you get hear from everywhere,
right?
And it just changes the whole vibe of the city.
I'm sure there were certain people that are like, uh-oh.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and you've seen what came with it for sure.
The East Bay scum is
they out here, bro. We go straight to Richmond and back, bro. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, for sure. So
that's
there were definitely some people that weren't happy about the things being joined together in that way.
Wasn't fucking with it for sure.
Yeah, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? And like for us that like grew up in like the music scene, we always just wanted to be a part of this great thing that was the Bay Area,
and we
to be separated.
Going down, fucking with Johnny B's, y'all come, you know, which was like the prominent hip hop club at the time. And the Zay, and then y'all would come up. By the way, where did the term the Zay? Did you didn't invent that? Did you?
Nope,
or like
grunge.
Grunge invented the term.
I mean, he's the first person I heard say it. Okay. I don't know if he's the person that made it up. I heard that Dave Dubb might have did it.
That makes sense.
I heard that Dave Dubb said it. Grunge heard it from Dave Dubb. I heard it from Grunge.
Okay.
That's my knowledge
so someone from that era.
It's either Grunge or Dave Dubb. Those like if I had to guess or put it on a single individual, I would say it's one of those two dudes.
So great segue. During this time, you're a member of Thunder Hut Project, but you also then started your own group.
Yeah.
Counterproductive. But you're simultaneously doing both.
Yep.
And that's around the time where there's a battle rapper and just like, you know, very, very well-respected figure in the hip-hop scene from out there, Meg Abusive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you wound up battling him. You guys had a long-standing rivalry, right?
He tried to white boy me. You know what I mean? Like, basically, like, I feel like there was some animosity because of the fact that we like had become like the crew in San Jose, where if like E40 was coming to town or like Mos Def and they're playing at the Voodoo Lounge,
you're opening up.
We're opening up, right? It was us, and like there was another crew, Language Arts, that fell into that category too. And I think that like I could totally understand being outside and like looking in and being like, oh, well, these fools are only there because of who they know and the connections or whatever. Hey, shit, you ain't even wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that created some kind of animosity towards us as far as
like you guys just were really the dopest group out I mean,
what, counterproductive?
No,
we just were.
Well, not just counterproductive, but like
the Hut too.
The
Hut
and the Hut associated.
And by that time, honestly, like as counterproductive started, the Hut drifted apart.
Yeah.
And that's just how that worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It definitely didn't have anything to do with each other.
Right.
And fools, we did shows together when it was two crews, and I'd be on both fucking sets. You know what I mean? But fools got older and fools moved away and things changed, just like everything does in life. So the Hut kind of disbanded, for lack of a better term, around the same time that Counterproductive started to become like a more prominent crew in San Jose.
Well, and wasn't there was like a moment, I think didn't you guys like, there was a Thunder Hut, like, or Grunge, one of them had hit you up and been like, hey,
you got to be in one or the other.
Yeah, well, there is a show.
Yeah.
There's like, we have a show, there's a show Friday night.
Yeah.
Pull up, and you're like, well, oh, we got a Counterproductive show that night.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like the moment where.
And essentially, like, I decided that I was going to do the Counterproductive thing, and like, with the utmost respect to the crew, like, and Grunge knew this at the time too, like, he was literally like just holding everything together by himself, you know, and like his apartment became like central for us getting together, practicing. He got all the beats. He recorded all the music.
Yeah,
he was very like the linchpin to holding that whole shit together. And as he started to lose interest, things started to fall apart. So I told him, and he completely understood. I was like, homie, I had my own shit going before I even crewed up. You know what I mean? So like, naturally, like, I'm going to gravitate towards the thing that I have more control of, that I'm not just one of 8 people in, you know what I mean? Like, so I focused on the counterproductive thing.
You know
with
what
the utmost respect, and like we all stayed homies like throughout. You know what I mean?
I just talked to Grunge earlier today, and you know it's so funny. Like what I used to love, and he's such a fucking piece of shit. How I love what Grunge would do is anytime you guys would have a battle, if you were battling, if Cutter was
He'd be like,
battling,
"That
if
fool
X-Pac-
sucks."
No, he would go up to you before the battle
Be like, you're trash.
and tell you you're gonna lose.
You're gonna
fool.
every
You're
time.
about to get
I never
fucking
did a bad.
smoked.
You're gonna get smoked.
You know your homies are supposed to hype you up
No,
and
no,
be
not
like,
Grunge, not Grunge.
Yeah, you're like
That fool
"You
loved
got
to
this,
tell me I
fool."
was gonna lose. I'd be like, yeah, right, motherfucker. Like every single
He's
time.
like,
Like,
you know you're about to get
okay,
smoked, right?
whatever, bro. Like, yeah, no, yeah, definitely. God bless him for that.
Yeah, that's
never,
so
never
great.
never let us get a big head. You know what I mean?
And if he was a judge, he's gonna judge you more harshly. You have
And
to
I knew that shit too.
decisively
I'd be like,
win.
oh fuck, Grunge is judging. I'm like, I
Yeah.
better win good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and he'd be like, yeah, you won, but you still suck. Like he'd tell me that shit. But yeah. So I
But the battle, so you wound up, so Chip, aka Mega Abusive, wound up like you guys had this rivalry. I guess it was stemming from.
yeah, he didn't fucking like me. And I didn't have any problem with him. And ultimately, like, I was a fan of his when I was coming up.
Right.
But he didn't like me. And if you don't like me, then it is what it is. Like, I'm going to be adversarial to you as well.
Right.
Like, I'm not just going to allow someone, like I said, like, he liked to white boy me. Like, he'd be like, oh, you ain't even a rapper type shit. Like, no, come on, bro. Like, in fact, I'm amazing. And like, if you want to find out, like, we could battle any fucking day of the week. And this was pre-grind time. This was pre any of that
It's
shit.
like 05, 06.
And
type
it was
shit.
like, yeah, Scribble Jam era,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, I had even stepped away from battling before that to focus on making music. But if it comes down to you want to find out who a better rapper is, well, there's one way to do that shit. You know what I mean? And that's we battle. So I don't know how it came about. I got a call one day and they were like, hey, you and Mega Abusive are going to battle tonight at Johnny V's. And I was like,
you found
all right.
out day of.
Day of, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I'll tell you what, like, only way I'm battling him, because there was like nothing, this is what I knew about Mega Abusive, because we had battled like 2 times before at like shows where he like got on stage while I was performing. And I was like, no, fuck that, give him the mic. You know what I mean? And we battled. And then I would pretty decisively beat him, but it's all my fans there.
Right.
So then he was always like, oh, whatever, your people gassed you. You know what I mean? But this was like, I felt like an opportunity to just shut the book on all that shit. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not trying to fucking have a guy get on stage while I fucking perform and try and battle me. Like, no, we're not doing that anymore. If we're going to battle tonight, we're battling for sneakers. Whoever loses is walking out of there barefoot. I don't give a fuck.
And if you know anything about Mega Abusive,
He's a shoe guy. That's
has
why I fucking did that
an
shit.
immaculate sneaker collection.
And that's why I did it, because I was like, you care about this. I
Yeah.
don't. I fucking
Yeah.
wear skate shoes.
You
I
had Etnies on.
I put holes in
Yeah,
my
yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck. But I had a nice pair of fucking like Italian Adidas that I won in the freestyle Olympics. And I was like, I'll wear my nicest fucking shoes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, you want to battle? Like, you can have my best shoes and I'll walk out of this bitch barefoot. I didn't bring a second pair.
Right.
I showed up with just my fucking sneakers. It was all of his homies there. They had a camera. They were filming. Homie washed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know.
You didn't just smoke his boots, you took them home with you.
He had to hand me his shoes, right? So like, how decisively would I have had to win
Yeah.
for him to know that, like, even his friends being like, he got you. You know what I mean?
Shouts to him for having the integrity to actually do it, because you know what I mean?
Respect.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And from that point over, when it was done, I told him on stage, I said, no more of this.
Yeah.
This is over. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And I shook his hand. Yeah, that was a defining moment for me, because if I would have lost that battle and had to walk out of there barefoot, I don't know if I'd be here today. I don't know if I would have continued to rap. I don't know what the fuck would have happened.
Because you wound up before, like, and something that I always thought was cool about you, and like to the stories we're telling, I feel like it's important for people to hear these, because of all the different regions of hip hop in California. Like, I feel like that era of specifically 408 San Jose hip hop, you like, is such a like underappreciated and just
no one was filming it, right? So it was
like
almost like it never
undocumented.
happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have there's rare footage. Like I tripped out. I found some old like mega abusive battles on him freestyling on YouTube from like 2003, and I was geeking out. You know what I mean? Like
I'll tell you what, they filmed it. His boys filmed it. And that footage never seen the light of day. I would have loved to have seen that battle. Like even today, I would have loved to have seen like the footage of that battle.
We got 2,500 for you right now for that footage.
It was whoever was working for Debug at the time. Like they showed up with a real ass camera. They had like a VX1000 with a death lens on it, what we used to film skateboarding with and shit.
Yeah.
Because these fools were doing like real documentaries on like I remember they did a documentary on the that houseless community, the jungle, the largest one in America at the time.
Yeah.
Like they were knee deep in like community politics,
Documenting
and like
the local provincial culture.
They were involved in that shit. So like they had the means to show up and film the battle. And this is before like everybody had a fucking camera on their or cell phone that had a nice high quality camera or whatever. We were all using the little fucking Nokias. You had to press 3 times to do a letter on a fucking text message.
Right.
So like no one had it. Otherwise, everybody would have filmed it, right? This is when you had to like have a fucking camera and then have editing software to like edit that footage. And I'm sure if I would have lost, everybody would have seen that fucking battle.
Would have been all biz ad.
But nope, I won. Walked out with the sneaker. And the only things that exist from that shit is pictures of me with his sneakers on my neck.
Right.
That's it. That's the
And
only
the sneakers that still exist.
that got him at home.
Yeah.
They're like some reflective, like high top, old school Nikes. Like the type of ones you put the light on. They're black, but you put the light on them and they look like they're white.
Right. Some fly shit.
Some fly shit. And again, like respect to him for like, you know, following through. And that was the end of that. From that point forward, we didn't ever mix it up again in any kind of regard. And there was certainly probably like some animosity post that shit, but like I wasn't wasting my time talking shit about him. And I think he understood that like it ain't gonna look good talking shit about me. You know what I mean? So that shit just became water under the bridge.
Right. Well, that's like that like it'd be like KRS-One talking shit about MC Shan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like this is everybody knows what happened.
I got the W.
Yeah.
It's a rap. You feel me?
I mean, like you would only look bitter to do that, and it wouldn't serve him.
You punch up, not down.
Well, he went for as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, like I wasn't gonna talk shit about him. I had the fucking sneakers.
Right.
But as far as he's concerned, like it wouldn't have looked good to continue to try and keep that shit going after that whole fucking scene, because there was literally like everybody in San Jose who was involved in that scene in any way, shape, or form showed up and was at that fucking club.
Yeah.
Shit was packed out all the way out the fucking door and all the way on the street, and that's why it wasn't a situation where like his friends were able to like, because that's back in the freestyle battle days, like you brought enough people, you could dominate it.
You could sway consensus
100%, but it was not possible in that situation because there was too many outside people there for it to not be obvious. Then when they're like all chanting my name or whatever, or like pass the shoes or whatever the fuck, like it was obvious. Well, however, like it a lot of it's like a blur to me now. I just remember being like, this is it, you know? And then like, again, like the pictures of me with the sneakers. And I vividly remember being like, no more, we're done. You know what I mean? And that was the end of that. He went on to continue to have a music career and continue to be like a well-respected dude in the scene of San Jose.
Absolutely.
And he was like a pioneer of the underground scene out there.
Right.
I never wanted to have beef with him. He was one of the people who set the stage for me to even rap, period. You know what I mean? But again, like I'm not going to allow myself to be victimized by anybody. And like the way I saw it is he was really trying to like I said, he's trying to white boy me. And I was like, no, I worked too hard, done too much to be treated that way here.
How they go white boy or Mexican?
Whatever. I mean, on paper, right? I got to show you my ID and shit. Alejandro Martinez. You know, whatever. But yeah, that was a defining moment for sure for me. And like I still think about that. Like if anything, that's me showing respect to him in the sense that like I recognize that shit could have went the other way, and I don't even know what would happen if that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as one of them defining moments.
I probably never would have did grind time. I would have had a bad taste in my mouth about battle rap in general. Like I might have continued to make music, but fuck, who knows? Like,
well, it's super funny because I remember you were the very first grind time West Coast battle of all time.
Avocado said I was the first battle the acapella battle he ever filmed.
That he ever filmed.
That's crazy, dude.
First
Think about all the battles that fool has filmed.
Yeah.
And I was the first one that he ever filmed.
And that's, I believe, the first acapella battle I ever hosted.
Well, because it was the opening battle of Battle of the Bay 1. Yeah.
And I think it got booked on like 2 or 3 day notice. You were
it did, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why.
I didn't understand that you could write. I understand. I thought that you could have like pre-prepared punchlines or whatever. Yeah. But literally that day, I watched Reverse Live and Tantrum, and I was like, oh, that's what I was supposed to fucking do.
Right.
Like it's like writing a song. Oh shit. And then if you look at the difference between me versus the Coroner and then me versus FLO.
Yeah.
Holy shit. It's night and day, right?
Yeah, because you're freestyling a lot of the Coroner battle.
Like all of it.
Yeah.
Like I had like 3 punchlines that I had in my head, and the rest of the time I was just freestyling.
Luckily, like, you know, the Coroner was not.
Not only was he not tight, but I also was like pretty good at freestyling from years of doing that shit. Right?
Fire.
Yeah. Shouts out to the Corner. Whatever the fuck.
I wanted to like say something mean, but then I was like, you know what? He could still be watching. And shouts to the Coroner, fool. You're an icon. You were in the first Grind Time West battle.
Yeah, and I guess like not winning would make you feel different about that, but like really should hold that in a high regard considering what came after and like what that set the stage for, you know what I mean? Like just to be involved in that in any way, shape or form, that event, A+ judging, where it's Sweet's Ballroom, like it was a very, like that
cultural
shit,
Oakland, like,
total that shit set the stage. That was the foundation of what we built Grind Time on. You know what I'm saying? Like because Grind Time existed and it was in Florida, but it wasn't until Lush went over there and smoked phrases and then came back and brought the whole league. And instead of being like, I'm gonna be the star of this shit, he was like, nah, these fools out here are crazy. You got Thesaurus, you got Ilmac, you got like No Can Do, you got all these Disaster, all these super incredible pass. Like, I'm going to set the stage for the homies.
And the thing was, like, I low-key, it's so funny, I was just talking about this the other day. Like, I tried to book all y'all fools. Like, I was like, yo, like, once I saw the Johnny Storm and Moss Jelton battle hit World Star Hip Hop, and that shit got 40,000 views in a day. And like I say all the time, like, this is early YouTube. So 40,000 views in a day ain't shit now. Like,
homie, that shit was crazy back. We'd be lucky if, like, 1,500 people watched an event that we did in front of 5,000. You know what I mean?
You know what
like, fools watched battle rap in the moment at the car show,
that's
at Scribble Jam. That's it.
Maybe you could find a clip on mcbattles.com with a 56K modem or whatever.
Totally, like fucking.
But yeah, this is like, so 40,000 views at that time, I think would be the equivalent of maybe 2 or 3 million.
Yeah, you're definitely cracking a mill.
Like that's like literally the equivalent.
Anything over like 10,000 was like 100,000.
Right.
It was like
you know what I mean?
500,000.
So I saw like the power and the potential of that. I was like, damn, I feel like the homies would kill this. So I'm calling you guys. I'm calling you, Thesaurus. And no one.
I don't battle. I'm not battling.
No one's fucking with it. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, man, let me show y'all what's cracking. So I go out there, do my stuff assist.
Man.
Do my Dougie.
Cooked phrases. And these fools didn't even know like what they were getting into.
Nah.
And that shit set the stage for everything that followed. Like that was like when I say the Battle of the Bay 1 was the foundation, like really that was the foundation. Because that was like we seen how big your shit popped off, and we were like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing that now. Like for sure.
That was like bussing, like that was like California bending over the baddest Colombian bitch from Florida and fucking her from behind, like the whole state running train. That's like we literally just let them know what time it was.
Well, because it wasn't just that you won, but you won so emphatically in such a dominant way that it changed the way that everyone in Florida wrote battles.
Yeah.
Like, and then you had like these super formidable opponents come up on the back of that. While we were doing all the West Coast shit, you had like fucking Johnny Storm and fucking Mosh Gelton
all these
and
fools that
Knowledge Medina and shit. Like these guys were like doing it on their side, and we had built up this thing where we were like.
Then in New York, there's like Hollow and Cortez.
Well, once PH got involved, and then he brought in fucking everybody.
But you know what? You know what was so funny? Like that, I completely flu-flammed this full of phrases. I finessed the fuck out of him and did some Art of War shit and totally made it so I knew he was gonna lose. And here's what I did: is we used to all be on this this website rapmusic.com. I know you remember.
Oh yeah, that's
there was
where
a message board, and we all
like,
talked about you feel me battles. I went on there maybe like a week or two before the battle, right? And I was like this full phrase is as fake as fuck. It was like the thread title, right? Open it up. I was like, this non-rapping ass fucking J-Cat. He can't even freestyle. I know he's over there writing his shit. I'm gonna kill this fool with freestyles. This motherfucker has to use a pen. He got no skills.
OG
off the top.
mind games.
You feel me? Like, and then he shows up freestyling. I have perfectly constructed,
just the most written and constructed shit. Like we didn't even
Adderall
understand.
Induced, like written, like
so good.
You know, like weaving in and out of syllables, and so shouts to phrases for being a good sport about like, because really like that was a dirty tactic, but you know,
hey man, like all's fair, right?
Kind of like, you know, a dude who has a beard and is like synonymous with having a beard, right?
Showing up with a Slayer shirt and a skateboard and shit. Like, let's do a rap battle.
I was gonna say showing up to a battle shaved.
Oh wow. That was the most fucked up thing I ever did to an opponent. Because everyone's known me to have a beard my whole fucking life. So, and that was like decently far into the shit. That was like Battle of LA 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and Illusion Z was like one of the younger guys from our scene and someone who had a lot of talent.
He was doing his thing.
And I was like, there's no way I'm letting this motherfucker beat me, right? Yeah. So I was like, yeah, why don't I just flip the script? And you know what? Honestly, it had more to do with my battle with Satire than anything else, because Satire was able to fucking like hillbilly me. He was like, this fool lives in the mountains and fucking, you know, like.
This shit is amazing. Yeah. What do you call this? Civilization.
Yeah, dude. Incredible, right? And like, even like, real deal with the like you frozen in ice for most of your life. Like basically like I recognized that the beard was the backbone of what people were going to write about. Much like if you battled an Asian dude at that time, you would have a bunch of cat eating jokes or whatever tasteless shit we used to do. That good old 2000 fucking 10 racism that we used to fucking put out there.
I told this fool dumbfounded in 2007. I said like, I'm a vagina hound. Your pops owns a restaurant in Chinatown that serves fried cat by the pound.
Oh, terrible.
Yes,
but
and he's Korean.
No shit, right? You're just like, you're Asian. I don't care. I don't even care.
That's even better.
I don't even give a fuck what kind of Asian you are.
Yeah.
But I knew the beard was like that kind of a crutch for anybody who battled me. So I was like, all right, let's see if I shave this shit off. I showed up to the event. Motherfuckers didn't even know who I was.
I didn't recognize you, fool.
I was standing in the back the whole time. A handful of people even knew that I was there. And then right before I went on, I was like, "Hey, Lush, what's up, dude? It's me."
No,
you were like, what the fuck?
No, like, you came up to me and said, "What's up?" And I did that thing that we do, like when we like,
"Oh yeah, what's up, homie?" Yeah,
like when they're like, "What's up, bro?" When you for sure know them,
yes,
but you don't know them. You know what I mean? But you're trying to be polite and play it off. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's up, bro?" And you're like, "It's me," and I was like, "Yeah." And you're like, it was obvious to you that you're like, "It's Dan." I'm like, "Oh."
Curveball like a motherfucker. And homie, hideous without a beard. One of the ugliest human beings on the planet.
Me and Dan,
you'd be surprised, like, how am I so handsome
me and Dan
now?
Look alike without beards.
Oh,
don't
do that to yourself. Your boy looks bad. And obviously, like, having a beard for like 5 years at that point. It changes
the dynamic of your face.
Oh my God, I had like a flesh, like just a weird, like pale colored face and shit. Like, dude, it was hideous. Not good. A lot of like ingrown hairs and shit. Yeah, just bad.
Is that the only time in like the past 20 years you didn't have a beard?
Yes.
I feel like during the Thunderhood era, it was longer. Like that was like a long.
Well, it's because when I was young, like I had a patchy beard, so I had to let it grow hella long in order to like cover the patchy fucking parts of it.
Yeah,
but by the time like that shit by grind time rolled around, I had like shaved it down and let it grow out enough to where it was like fuller, right?
Right.
But that was the first time that I shaved it all the way the fuck off.
Yeah.
And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh God, don't ever do this again. I was like, babe, do you still love me? Like, fuck. Don't look at me. I'm the fucking elephant man and shit.
I'm not an animal.
I'm not an animal. No, it was a dirty fucking tactic. But goddamn did it work. He didn't know what the fuck to say. He fell the fuck apart. I watched his look on his face like, what? When I walked in the ring.
All
like,
of his bars were about that, and then it was
and
like
in retrospect, he could have just did them still because everyone knew I had a beard, right?
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
But it's so funny that like his honor wouldn't allow him to rap about me having
Yeah.
a beard while I didn't have one.
Ernie's just could have been like this Simpson asshole. He got to fucking shave his beard, look ugly as fuck just to win a battle. Like
Yes.
he could, you know what I'm saying?
And then
like,
went and did all the beard lines.
Yeah,
And it
and
would
then-
have been fine.
Yeah.
But no, he was psyched out by my ugly face. He was he didn't know what the fuck to think.
Shouts to Illusions, though.
Shouts
man. You
to
feel
my
me?
guy.
Yeah, yeah. With that being said, you wound up having an incredibly illustrious battle rap career. Brought you across the world.
Yeah.
You know, you battled in Sweden, battled in Australia.
We're talking about like firsts, right? That was my whole thing in the beginning was like I wanted to be the first battler to touch all of these places. So like I was the first one to go to the UK. I was the first one to go to Australia. I was the first one to go to Flip Top in
before it is even, huh? Yeah.
oh
That's
yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah. Like years before.
Yeah,
And basically after that, the international thing kind of blew up. So that then like we're in Sweden and it's fucking all of us at the event. You know what I mean? Like all the homies. And then by the time we were, you know, King of the Dot came into the picture, like Toronto was like my second fucking home. You know what I mean? I was out there like 4 or 5 times a year for like 5 years, you know? Like it was crazy to be that familiar with the city that was that far away. You know?
Yeah. It's a trip. It's a trip. Like became like a second home. You know what I mean?
Totally. And like I to the point where like the folks in customs were like, hey, Dirtbag Dan. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, it was cool, man. And that place is really, it's like New York, except everyone's nice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so it was very welcoming, but also had like a completely different vibe from the cities that I grew up on
There's
the
like
West
some
Coast.
passive aggressive energy though. Like they're nice, but like then when they want to be mean, they won't do it directly.
Yeah.
So, like,
but
they'll-
I mean, fuck, bro. I you know, I take everything at face value. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you want to be fucking shady in a subtle way, by all means, you know what I mean? Like, if you ain't like, you go to New York and I'll be like holding the door open for someone and they'd be like, yo, pause. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck is that? What are you talking about? I'm just being polite. Yeah, like, definitely like an entirely separate vibe from what I was used to.
You hold that door for me, be no homo.
It was cool, man. I loved those years of battling, like the traveling years. Now the thought of like getting on a plane for more than fucking 5 hours is, oh my God, I don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, like, not only you were one of the, and it's become more common, but you were definitely one of the more successful examples of battle rappers that were able to transition into music and have a very secret yet lucrative. I mean, you were already cracking as Dirtbag Dan. You've had videos as Dirtbag Dan that have hit 1 million views,
Yeah.
as Counterproductive that have hit 1 million
Yeah,
views.
which is like unique for any battle rapper, right?
Which is very rare for a battle rapper. But then you started a project with our good buddy Reverse Live,
yeah,
another great MC.
and I'd like to take credit for that shit would be like not accurate in the sense that like I very much recognized that Reverse Live was like far more talented than like most of the scene would give him credit for. And I realized real quick that was out of fear. Like fools didn't want to battle him because they would lose. Fools didn't want to write songs with him because he was a better songwriter.
Right.
And like and multifaceted in his ability to make music.
Oh, bro's in a punk band. Like,
Just
you know what I'm
I
saying?
was
Like,
for the longest time. Like I certainly recognized around the time that like I spent a lot of time with Caddy and I would make music with Caddy because I remember Briefcase being like, yo, Reverse is the best out of all of
Yeah.
us. And yeah, totally recognized that early. So like when I did have an opportunity to make music with him, I wasn't like afraid in any sense of like looking bad as like maybe the guy who wasn't as good on the track or whatever. And because of that, I would very much follow his lead with regards to like ideas and things like that.
So how did the concept of like, you know, you guys are anonymous. You don't show your face ever. It's all like the videos are like fucking, you know, like screens over your faces.
Yeah.
It's like some really cool like anime inspired post-apocalyptic / like Memphis hiss tape underground.
The way I like describe it to people when they ask is like, those aren't real people. You know what I'm saying? Much like, you know, Daft Punk isn't real people. The Gorillaz aren't real people. Daniel Dumail and MF Doom are two entirely separate entities. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's the way I always looked at the Death Dealer stuff. And plus, for like years of making music as Dirtbag Dan, and like any kind of rap where you'd say something and fools would be like, that fool's not doing that. Which is like ridiculous in the sense that nobody watches a movie and sees a doctor and is like, that fool's not a doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, obviously he's not a doctor. He's creating fucking entertainment, right?
Like, Hauser never even graduated high school.
For real. Like, come on. Like, what are you talking about? So,
but what's funny is I look at myself and I feel like I've made some pretty good songs that were ruined by music videos because I look awkward and like it's not necessarily believable, even though everything I said was true. And I was really doing the shit and living that life I was talking about. But it's like right message, wrong messenger. And then when you like remove the video, I mean, and it's just like, you know, you're focusing on just the stripped downness of the art, and like you have this really cool unique sound and y'all are rapping your asses off, and it's not from the perspective of necessarily yourself but these like alter egos that you've created, but it's still rooted in reality.
Well, that's the thing is that like as Dirtbag Dan, I had created this like imaginary box for myself of what I felt like it was acceptable for me to write about, because like I was a very real person traveling around the world shaking people's hands, you know what I mean? So like there wasn't this like detachment from the music. In fact, it was very much attached to who I was as a person. So like Cody came up with the name Death Dealers Anonymous, Reverse Live. And I was like, yo, that's fucking...
It is a great name.
He always is like with names and shit like that, like always comes up with the coolest shit. So I was like, yeah, that's dope. What if we were actually like anonymous? And he's like, yeah, totally. You know, and like everything, like it's all just pitching ideas back and forth. Like the first videos, we just kind of wore masks, but then we were like, well, how could we take it like a next step? And then we'd like keying out our faces, and like everything was like super organic as far as like he'd say, what if we do this? And I'd be like, oh hell yeah. Well, what if we do this?
But you never did like the Madlib Quasimodo like voice, just like you never changed your voices. Like
I think
it's your actual voices on there.
Yeah.
So anyone that like, even if a Death Dealer song popped up and I didn't know anything about it, but I knew I'd watched your battles or heard your, I'd be like, oh, that's Dirtbag Dan.
You probably would.
You know,
you probably would, because you pay more attention to music than most people do.
Right.
But I think that a lot of people don't, right? And a lot of people, like, if they don't see the name, then they won't know who the person is. Reverse Live has a very distinctive voice. So I think that like anybody could always like, who knows him and has heard him rap before, could pick him out. I did kind of change the way I rapped. Yeah. Not like pitching my voice or doing anything like that, but rapping slower and at a lower
you're not doing the double time shit.
But like, if you notice, like that shit was happening in my regular music. Like that song Low Key is like very much like in the Death Dealers tone or whatever, right? But just in general, like it was
it's a more violent side of Dirtbag Dan as well.
Well, we were like trying to detach ourselves from the music, and the whole idea behind it was like, these are fictional characters in the sense that they're like fucking warlords in a dystopian version of our world or whatever. It's like, why write like us? It's not us. You know what I mean? And like, that's how I always looked at it. I was like, and I don't think Reverse ever put himself in that box. I think he was always like, I don't have to fuck, I could do whatever the fuck I want. You know what I mean? Which is like, yeah, absolutely. Totally. And again, this is why I like recognize that shit and would follow the lead on like what he would do. You know what I mean? And I'd seen an opportunity for myself to separate myself from the music and then just see how the music did on its own. Never in my wildest fucking imagination, especially considering no label support, no marketing budget, just us doing everything ourselves, making it, putting it on the internet and just letting it live there. And then all of a sudden, fucking views in the millions.
Yeah, you guys are doing millions of views. Like,
on multiple
Your
shits.
music is more famous than you are, damn near, at this point.
Absolutely, without question. I mean,
how did y'all link up with DJ Akoza? I love that bullshit, and I think
I think he was a fan of Reverse first.
Okay.
And like, but also like just the battles in general. Like, so he knew who we were, right? And he was like, oh, that's cool. I could make music with those dudes. And I think, he took a chance on us as far as like sending us beats, and that shit kind of placed us firmly within this existing scene, right? Like, and then all of a sudden, I my only like explanation for how things ended up the way they were is that we started ending up on playlists as a result of the producers that we worked with.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's just like, and like, honestly, like I would be more bashful about talking about it, and I would like entirely separate myself from the music if I didn't know there was such a huge separation from anything involving me or us or battle rap in general and the music itself. Like, I would say conservatively, 95% of the people who listen to Death Dealers Anonymous, they don't know who I am or who Reverse Live is. They don't know that we were battle rappers.
Right.
They got no idea.
They don't care.
I mean, it's just a song that pops up in a playlist. It's just a song that pops up in their queue or whatever when they're watching some other shit that they like. And it, like I said, like that scene existed.
Right.
And instead of like, naturally we took our own approach to it, right? Like very bar heavy in a scene that maybe isn't that bar heavy, right?
Right.
Because we come from a world where you live and die by the bars that you write, right? So we had to, that was another thing I think that separated us from like the other music in that scene and maybe pushed us into a position where we were getting played and more and getting introduced to larger audiences that, again, had nothing to do with this like existing world that I had operated in for 20 fucking years.
And it's crazy just to see, like, it should be inspirational to people to just keep creating, keep experimenting. You never know. And because and y'all did it with no intention of blowing up. You did it with a pure heart.
It was all made for us. Like, we didn't care if anybody listened to it. We were just making something that we thought was cool. And again, bro, that's what Reverse Live always did.
Yeah.
He never cared whether we liked what he was doing or not. Like, he just was like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And man, like, I think that definitely us together is a crazy combo because like our voices complement each other, our writing styles complement each other, and our work ethic complements each other. He very much overthinks shit, and I very much underthink shit. But I'm very focused on like execution. Like, if you have an idea and it's good, we're doing that shit. Like, we're gonna see it all the way through, And I think that is like a strength that I have, and his strength was having like these really good ideas. And so like the combination of the two meant those really good ideas were getting executed. You know what I mean?
And like on top of that, so Death Dealers came on the heels of you essentially walking away from battle rap.
Yeah.
Walking away from your podcast, which I just want to say, like, we got to put on record, the Dirtbag Dan show, which is back now, right?
I mean, not the Dirtbag Dan show. That will never be back. Just because.
But you're podding again.
I'm podcasting again.
My boy had a podcast in 2012.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And Lush was the first guest on that podcast.
And the Dirtbag Dan show was just like really, like, you were doing what everybody is trying to do now.
we were way ahead of the game. Like the format for podcast existing at that time was literally just like the Joe Rogan style, like talking head kind of podcast. There was no like group of homies sitting in a room with no kind of topic or personal,
just general battle rap
just
shit.
General battle rap shit. And my whole idea was, it was like, oh, this is a world that I have unique access to, so we'll just get the homies together and talk about like behind the scenes stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of morphed into like its own thing, you know, because of people like you, because of people like Cadillac Ron, for sure. And I will tell you right now, to this day, like, I don't give a fuck what podcast you watch. The Cadillac Ron episodes of the Dirtbag Dan show would be entertaining to anybody and are some of the best pieces of media that exist in the world.
Ever. I literally tweeted the other day that this is like the most, like, there's the one Caddy 3.0 returned, like his first sober podcast.
That is insane.
And the thing is, you can't, like, the Caddy's humor and just like it's a timepiece, and because of how politically correct the world is now.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, this is before like edgelord culture, so people weren't trying, so the people that aren't being politically correct weren't like trying to deliberately offend people or whatever. Like,
he was just being himself.
he was just talking shit, being himself. It was anybody can get it.
And when he was on the show, I would shut the fuck up. Most of the time, I'm just laughing, dude.
Let him riff, yeah.
And yeah, it was like literally I would just sit back. And I'd do the same thing with you to a degree.
Right.
Like, because you could talk, man.
Right.
And you know what you want to say. And like, it was always entertaining.
Right.
So when I had an opportunity, there was plenty of times where I had to like drive the content. But the more we added people to the situation, and you have like Caustic there all the time. And then like in the later years, we would like Frack and Fredo, and we had all the different like, bar pong and all the different like segments and doing the shorts and stuff like that. Like the show evolved many times and got different, got better. And like, it was one of the few things where like when things changed, people didn't complain a bunch because they changed in a way that made it more entertaining. You know what I mean? And ultimately when Caddy passed, like we were never going to reach that peak again.
Yeah.
Like that like it could only be that good because of him.
Well,
you know
and
what
that
I mean?
was just also just like a devastating blow to all of us as a group of friends.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you know, like still haven't fully recovered from that.
Never.
Like,
Yeah. Never
I
will.
still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so much, it changed a lot. And I also like, so with you and you know, had your podcast, you had your own battle league at that point, Battle of Zay.
Well, because I stopped battling in 2016. Last battle I did was against DNA in San Jose, and I was like, man, it ain't gonna get better than this.
You went out
it's like
on
one
a high
of the
note.
best dudes ever. Like I feel like I got it. You know what I mean? In my hometown, like it ain't gonna get better
You
than
have
this.
probably the best DNA voice.
Might as well just hang it up at that
Yeah.
point. So like I focused on the media shit, doing the podcast and
doing bots,
pay-per-views for all of the leagues too.
Right.
I lightweight invented that shit. They used
Right.
to just have battles,
Yeah.
and it would just be pauses and people standing around in the middle of the fucking floor.
you were doing
And I was like,
commentary.
yo, we should probably talk right here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I started doing that. Basically, my plate was full. I could still exist in the world of battle rap as a league owner, as a pay-per-view commentator, and like as a media person.
And you were making music, you know. I think
Yeah.
I think at that time it was counterproductive.
No, that was by that time it was
Is that Solo Dan?
DBDLP.
Yeah.
Where the shit with the holding up
That's
the beer flyers.
the initial thumbnail for this video, actually.
Yeah, I was like established enough in that world. Like you said, like I got songs as a solo artist that have over 1 million views
Yeah.
on music videos that I was involved in the production of and came out on my YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like that's the most like me doing it shit ever, right? But it was, you know, the difference between the music I made then and the music that we make now. I never even enjoyed listening to my own music.
Right.
Bro, I'll slap the fucking Death Dealer shit all day. Like that.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
I
you know what I
can
mean?
leave that on in the car when my girl gets in the car.
And the homies like it.
and
Like
be
that's the
like,
other
not
thing
be
is like
embarrassed.
nobody's doing the thing where they're like, I listen to this because it's my friend. Like
Right.
the people that do know us that listen to it, fucking slap it in their regular rotation of everything else they listen to. Because we finally fucking got there. We finally created something that stood on its own. And like, if anything's a testament to that, it's the fact that, again, no marketing budget, no label support, no promotion whatsoever. We just made this shit, put it out in the world, and now it sits there, you know, existing within that scene. But also, like, I seen someone post the other day, they were like, yo, you know, I don't think it's controversial to say that the DDA shit is the best music to ever come out of battle rap. It's
I'm not mad at that.
It ain't. It's like you got an argument.
It's for sure up there.
For real, right? Like I like us.
Some fools might be like, nah, Sue Surf.
Us and Surf, bro, and that's it. Like right now, everybody else who was cracking what 10 years ago. It's like literally that's it. You know what I mean? That reached that scale.
Right. Absolutely.
Tight.
But during that time, I started to notice a stark change in your demeanor, and you seemed like to be, this is before the Death Dealer shit, like, you know, you seemed like you were like unhappy, and I would see you at events and you'd be pissed off running events.
Yeah, man.
You were you were taking a lot of LSD.
That was definitely happening as well. Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
And LSD is a great thing, and it opens like what happened? You feel like you went too far down the rabbit hole with the acid?
No, I think that I didn't.
Or is it just more personal shit was going on?
I think more personal. I think like in general, like I didn't see a future in what I was doing. And everything at what had kind of plateaued, right? As far as like, you know, battle rap, I hit the ceiling in battle rap hit the ceiling in the world. You know what I mean? Like, we're never going to be taken seriously as real artists or real musicians. Like, they're always going to hold us in this little, but whatever, those fools are battle rappers ass shit, and like act like it's nerdy, even though like it's not, you know what I mean? And it's like, like one of the hardest things you could do as a performer, you know what I mean? Like, but you know, to be more like to put it in like a real simple statement, like there wasn't enough in my life to make me feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like I had reached any kind of potential as far as like my own life, and like all I had was my art and like what I created. And obviously like my family and my wife, but that's entirely separate. I'm talking like as a man waking up every day, doing a job, working. Like I never had a real job. I just did this shit and hustled. And I was like, man, is this what I'm going to be for the rest of my life? Is this what I'm going to do? And I think that I have to attribute some of the success of the Death Dealer shit to my detachment from it, in the sense that I was like, and that's just on my part. And again, like, you know, not being afraid to rap with someone who's better than me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But also like just being like, I don't need to be the guy in the front of this. In fact, I'd like to just make music for fun. I'd like to be completely away from this shit. You know what I mean? And that made it fun for the first time in a long time, as long as I can remember. And that's just like the process of making music. But, you know, honestly, bro, until I started the dog rescue, I wasn't happy as a person. Like it's funny, I had always attributed that, like, and I understood those aspects of your life, and I know, like, you know, things you were going through at that time. But I did attribute some of it to like, is my man's just is he tripping too much? I mean, I think like there's a correlation. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's like, why was I doing that too much? Yeah, why are you know what I mean? Like, well, A, because it's around, it's fucking Woodstock over here. Right. But B, because like I don't have to. Just like I haven't smoked weed in fucking 2 months. It's like I don't have to smoke weed. Which is so crazy because you're like synonymous with dabbing. But it's like I don't have to do anything. I never had to do anything. I always did what I wanted to do, right? So like I never had to do a bunch of fucking acid. I could have said no anytime, and I would have if I wanted to. I didn't want to because I didn't care. I didn't give a shit about anything really outside of like, you know, my family, my wife. Like I didn't have enough in my life to care about, to ground me to the point where I was like, yeah, I can't be off in fucking space all the time. And there's definitely like, you know, I'm sure again, like there's a correlation between like being that fucking fried and not being happy. You know what I mean? Using too much of your endorphins to fucking travel the cosmos or whatever.
Right.
But I don't.
You were like a functional acid user. You would like be at events or like just chilling and like
Running
a regular
events.
running events or chilling on a
doing
random
business.
Wednesday, like
Yeah.
off like a couple tabs. And,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
And
like Del the Funky Homo Sapien said, keep the tabs on your tongue and let the bomb numb your lungs.
I mean, functional in the sense that I could operate, but not at the highest level of like.
No, it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Like, and here, what I was gonna basically, this whole segue was gonna culminate in was me saying that when you decided to, I believe around that time, cut back on that, but not only that, kind of remove yourself from battle rap entirely.
Just wanted to do something different.
And fell in love with rescuing dogs.
Yeah, which is more of a byproduct of the pandemic than like an idea I had, right? Like I always loved dogs. I always had dogs around. My wife, her mom always fostered for rescues. My parents wouldn't let me have a dog when I was a kid because I was a fucking latchkey kid, and I wasn't responsible enough to be like have a pet. You know what I mean? Like so, when I turned, when I had a house and a backyard, I got a dog, and it was a rescue, and I fucking love my dog. So like there was always that aspect of my life, but I never even thought about the possibility of like running a nonprofit or like being of service to my community until all of a sudden, like there wasn't going to be no more shows. There wasn't going to be, and because I started doing comedy as like an outlet to separate myself from like all the media and shit that I had done before. But it's like I wasn't, I was going to be doing Zoom comedy shows. That shit didn't seem fun to me. No more hip hop shows, no more Dirtbag Dan shit. Like we ain't doing nothing. We're just sitting at home for what? Fucking 2 years here in California. Well, after the first 3 months, I was like, yo, what do you want to do? Like, you want to help these dogs in the neighborhood? And it was like as much my wife's idea as it was mine. We start, helping out, collecting supplies for the dogs in the neighborhood. There was a houseless community right around the corner. These folks got dogs. Their dogs don't got food. Their dogs, chihuahuas out there freezing in the fucking winter. Like, oh, no. Let's put a sweater on this dog. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden people start surrendering dogs to us. We start taking dogs in. We start finding homes for dogs. And my homegirl is a lawyer. She was like, yo, you want to be a nonprofit? Like I'll draw up the paperwork for you. So fucking cool. Like that should change my life. First time I had a real job.
What's the most dogs that y'all have simultaneously had at one time?
13.
Sheesh.
Because I had a litter of 9 and then my regular dogs at the time.
Okay.
So it was 13 dogs. But we're talking American Staffordshire Terrier puppies.
Yeah.
So like, bro, by the time they're 8 weeks, you got a bunch of fucking little monsters running around with sharp ass teeth and shit. It was hectic. You know what I mean? Typically, I'm operating between like 5 and 7. And that's like at home, not with fosters and now we have an executive director who has like property and has an opportunity to take on like as many dogs as us. So we've just over the years increased our capacity and ability to help dogs.
What's like the gnarliest experience you've had like with someone like not surrendering their dog or like confrontation or something of that regard?
I'll tell you, like, and we kind of were talking about this before we started podcasting, like a lot of like you would think that the hardest part of the job is like finding a dog you love and like letting it go and finding a home for that dog, or losing dogs, getting dogs that are in bad physical shape and trying to help them with the surgery or whatever. And it was just too little, too late. You know what I mean? And like that shit sucks. It all takes a piece of you away, but like you gain those pieces back through like the other positive parts of the work. But the part of the job that I never expected, that I never thought was going to be a part of my life, was having to smile in the face of people who are abusing animals or mistreating animals, neglecting mostly. Having to
Do you think a lot of it though is done out of ignorance, and they're like not? These aren't people that are like
Abso-fucking-lutely, 100%.
not like people that are like trying to maliciously.
Most people
harm.
aren't like that.
Yeah.
Most people just don't understand Like you're dealing with a living creature. Like I always say, man, dogs are like kids that you can cuss in front of. Like they require a lot, you know, like, and especially in this day and age with how much it costs to like keep them healthy, like going to the vet and like regular exercise and food and everything, man. It's not something that you do irresponsibly. You adopt a dog, you're making a commitment to that dog for its entire life.
Right.
You get a fucking little chihuahua, that could be 20 years, bro. You got 20 years? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get involved in helping a dog if you're not ready to see the shit all the way through. But yeah, man, like sometimes it is out of malice, but even that is ignorant in the sense that like no one taught these people how to, you know, this person or whoever I'm dealing with, like no one taught them that what they're doing is wrong, that you don't treat a living thing like that. No one taught them that. So they think it's okay. And like there's a portion of society that like operates like that. You know what I mean? That, man, like with the way these Frenchies are bred and sold, like, bro, people treat these dogs like fucking Gucci bags. People steal dogs at gunpoint.
Oh, yeah.
That's like fucking abducting someone's child, bro.
Yeah.
That's the most gnarly shit you could ever fucking do, right? Like, I mean, even worse.
Lady Gaga's dog.
Yeah, they fucking shot the dude.
Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy. That's insane. I seen a video of a woman.
They're dope ass dogs, don't get me wrong. But what the fucked up things, and I've seen a couple Frenchies come into your possession because
awesome.
like that wind up, people will get them and then they like don't, or like
they don't understand how much care goes into owning those dogs specifically.
Right.
They have very specific health issues.
Yeah.
Because they're overbred. Because how many Frenchies do you think there are in the world? Homie, that some of them are cousins and second cousins. There's a lot of inline breeding.
Right.
Not just like inbreeding, like straight up your mom is your sister type shit, but like, you know, even when they're fools are not doing due diligence with regards to like testing dogs, finding out what kind of like long-term health issues they have before breeding them. They're just trying to make money.
And there are certain people that I feel like do their due diligence and are good breeders, you know what I mean? Like, but they are the exception to the rule, you know what I mean? Like,
dude,
like my homie Trap, he breeds Frenchies and like he's actually like he cares about the animals.
I mean, a lot of people care about the animals. They don't understand they're breeding a dog that has soft palate issues or IVDD.
Right.
You don't even find that shit out until your dog's 4 years old, and then all of a sudden its back legs stop working. But you don't give a fuck because you passed it to some dude in a parking lot for $2,500. And even if that person tried to give that dog back to you, you wouldn't take it because you got a whole other litter that you're trying to sell. Like
shit, some of those things go for like 15 grand.
Depends on who, like, and like you figure the more ethical the breeder, the more expensive the dog, because that person is doing due diligence with regards to some kind of testing or whatever. But honestly, like, how are you going to ethically breed a dog in a world where we're overpopulated with them, where every shelter is bursting at the seams, doubling up on dogs? Here's the thing. You just shouldn't buy a dog like that. That's not how you should acquire a dog. You should adopt the dog from a rescue or the shelter. The shelter first. Like if you can go to the shelter and find a dog that you could save, you're saving that dog's life. That dog is facing death in the shelter. The longer it's there, it doesn't matter if it's a no-kill shelter, they got to make space somehow. The longer it's there, the more it's susceptible to being euthanized. And man, hundreds and thousands of dogs, highly adoptable dogs, are euthanized every year. And we're talking about dogs that aren't one specific breed, so they don't have health issues. The thing about being mixed is you get the best qualities from all the different dogs, you know what I mean? And people care more about having a dog that looks cool than having a dog that's gonna live for longer. Man,
just caring about the dog in general, you know.
I mean, but if you could choose, wouldn't you choose the one that lived the longest?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be your choice?
Yeah, it's not all about like, you know, like of course puppies are cute, but you know what I mean?
I mean, even no matter what, like all puppies are cute, right? But wouldn't your, like, to me, the most important thing when adopting like a specific breed of dog, which is like, I don't even think about that. We're a non-breed specific rescue. We take all the fucking dogs on. But like, if I had a choice, I'm going to pick the dog that I think is going to live the longest.
Right, of course.
That just seems like a fucking no-brainer. You know what I mean?
And then there's other dogs like pits, you know what I mean, who have a lot of stigmas attached to them.
Yeah.
And some of them are, you know, cane corsos, whatever, are bred to be like mean or whatever. But a lot of them are like the fucking sweetest animals you'll ever encounter.
They're all gonna be like, there are specific traits and things that behaviors that dogs, different breeds have, like more of, like herding dogs tend to like herd little kids or what, you know what I mean? Like there are things that are in their DNA from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of breeding them to do those specific jobs. But at the end of the day, any dog you take home and treat with love is going to be a loving dog. Like that's just all it. Some dogs require more attention and enrichment because they're working dogs, like a Belgian Mal. Like this is a dog that they use for the military, right? Like, so if you get that dog, you need to treat that dog different than you treat a Chihuahua. You can't just like put them in the backyard and think that's enough. You got to socialize them, exercise them, give them things to do. And if you do that, they will be as good as any other dog in the world. A dog's behavior is, you know what, maybe like 5% based on their breed and 95% based on how you treat that dog. Mm-hmm. And that 5%, because we know what breed the dog is, you could do DNA tests and figure out even what your mixed dog is. Well, then you can go, oh, that's why he's doing that. We should do more of this. You know what I mean? Like it's very like, but you're absolutely right. As far as like, most of it is people just don't know. Most of it is education. People don't know you got to vaccinate puppies or else they get parvo and shit. So they'd be outside putting their fucking brand new puppy on the ground. It's like, no, oh God, stop. Please stop doing that. And it's like, these are simple things that you can teach people and save them a lot of heartache. You know what I mean? And that's like a lot of what we do is
when your 15-week-old puppy dies
and you're fucking
and you have a 6-year-old kid that's attached to it.
Yeah, it's terrible, right? But it's like, education and outreach is how we prevent that type of shit from happening. You know what I mean? And getting into the schools and talking to the kids and letting them know, like, man, maybe it's cooler to have a little mutt than it is to have a purebred dog, you know?
Right.
And I, like, you want to talk about the worst case of, like, that we've dealt with? I mean, as far as, like, what I would consider to be, like, abuse that is, you know, goes beyond just neglect. Like you're literally like treating this animal like like you're a monster for what you've done to this animal. Is my own dog, my own English Bulldog, Gus. This fool was tied to a fence at a vet in Fremont. And that was the nicest thing they ever did for this dog. For 18 to 20 hours a day, he lived in a wire crate that had no bottom so that they could slide pee pads underneath.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Just so they didn't have to take him out to go pee because they're breeding him and they only need him to come out and fuck and then shit, like, so he don't shit in the house like that. So he got out to do those two things only. The rest of his life, for the first 3 years of his life, he spent in a cage, feet splayed out, fucking all like fucked up from just standing on a cage all day long, arms malformed, bones bent and shifted from all of his, you know, they're like top heavy or whatever. So all of his weight on the front, just like shifting his bones and changing the structure of his body. Like this dog is so beautiful. And that's why he ended up in that position, because he was a perfect candidate for breeding. And then after he made these people tens of thousands of dollars for over the course of 3 years, they just swap him out for one of his kids, tie him to a fence at a vet. And that's my fucking boy. That's my dog, Lord Suggins on Instagram. Follow Lord Suggins.
He got his own IG.
LordSuggins. He's the most handsome fucking dog you've ever seen in your life. And I treat that fool like a king. I roll him around in a cart. I bring him to events.
Was it kind of hard to get him like used to trusting you?
Yes. When I would pick him up in the beginning, he would freak the fuck out. He hadn't been handled. But English Bulldogs they have a very like even temperament.
Yeah, they're nice.
They're fucking awesome dogs, man. They're really cool dogs. Like it's a shame that people breed them in the way that they do, where they have like soft palate issues and they can't breathe correctly, and like people downbreed them.
They got British accents.
It's our classic like attachment to them through like wrestling, through through the British Bulldog and shit. Like definitely like They are characters, man. They're amazing dogs. One of my favorite breeds of dogs, but they're targets for this kind of breeding because people will buy them in parking lots for fucking large amounts of money and just pass the shit off. They don't care, like they just want to have the cool dog, right?
Right.
Well, when you do that, when you buy a dog from some dude in a parking lot, chances are the dad is someone like Gus, living his whole life in a fucking cage in some dude's kitchen in fucking Vallejo or Hayward or some shit. You know what I mean? Or Fremont, where he ended up. So it's like, that's why I say you don't buy dogs like this. It's not because I don't care about the dogs. It's not because I don't think French bulldogs are awesome. They're cool as fuck, man. They're one of the coolest dogs in the world.
They are very cool.
But the way that once people turn these dogs into a commodity, into a Gucci purse instead of an animal, once they become
a fashion accessory,
then they're targets for theft, the worst kind of violence. There are literal crime rings centered around these dogs, stealing them from Southern California, bringing them to the Bay Area and vice versa, and selling these dogs and locking them in cages all day and turning them into fucking sex slaves, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? Like, it's not right. And the only way that we as a society can prevent this shit from happening, like, if you love these dogs, stop purchasing them like that. Stop allowing the people in your life to purchase them like that. Understand that we need to make this shit go out of style, like wearing fur. You know what I mean? Used to be fucking people thought it was cool to have a fucking sick ass mink coat and shit. And then all of a sudden people start throwing paint on you because you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And you're like responsible for this breed being, or this animal being wiped off the fucking face of the earth to make jackets for motherfuckers. That's terrible, right?
Right.
Nobody respects anybody who wears fur these days. It's not a hot commodity. More often than not, people will think you're a piece of shit.
Unless you're Cameron.
I mean, what's pink though? He's wearing pink fur. It's not from a Pink Panther.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have to have fucking have
Rock some fly faux fur.
You don't have to have exactly. You don't have to have a chinchilla skinned in order to have a fly coat. You know what I mean? Like, and it'll cost you a lot of fucking money too. Like, you want people to know you got money? Cool. Buy a fucking faux fur coat. Do whatever the fuck you got to do.
I feel like you're on the slow track to complete veganism.
No, I mean, like, I feed my dogs meat, so how the fuck am I gonna not be like, oh, don't eat meat? And I'm like, here you go, buddy. It's like,
that's why I said slow track, but
it honestly,
this
like,
could be the precursor to a vegan lifestyle.
Much like the alcoholics say, you know what I mean? Change the things you can and accept the things you can't, right? Like, there are some things in this world I'm not going to be able to affect. What I can affect is changing the lives of the dogs that I come into contact with and educating anybody who I have the opportunity to on, like, not only how to treat their dogs properly, but how to acquire dogs in an effort to stop turning them into fucking commodities. Dude, you want your fucking 10-year-old kid to get fucking robbed at gunpoint? Because that shit's happening. Kids walking their dogs.
You better give those kids some straps.
I mean, shit. Well, that's the only solution, right? Is to give it. No, stop fucking buying the dogs. Like, you know what I'm saying, though? Like, this is, again, love all these breeds. I never met a dog I don't like. But we need to be conscious of the way that we acquire these dogs in an effort to keep them from being victims of the worst kind of abuse and neglect.
1,000%. You said it simply and concise. Now, in the midst of this very, very successful endeavor and very beautiful thing you got going on, you did decide last year to make a return after 8 years.
Yeah. 2016.
7 years at the time to battle rap, and you had a great performance, a legendary battle against the best Carter Deems we've ever seen.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Do you see yourself battling again? Did they kind of give you the itch?
Absolutely, but not for the reason that you think. Not because I battled and it felt hella good and it made me want to, like, relive this life that I used to have, right? Because
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It was a incredible opportunity for me to promote the rescue and the ideals of the rescue. I mean, you heard what I said in that battle. Like, my whole last round is about how fucking awesome dogs are. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take any opportunity to spread the word about what I'm doing and like elicit help from the public because, bro, I'm just a dude doing this shit. I'm not, I don't have state or federal funding. We get some grants here and there. Most of it is fundraising, selling these dogs are dope fucking hoodies and t-shirts and hats. You know what I mean? This is how we save dogs. You know what I mean? So the more people I could reach with this shit, the more dogs I could save, plain and simple. And I honestly, like I had detached myself from the art in such a way, you know, like having success with the death dealership without having to be like tacitly there and then not having to run a battle league or whatever. It's like, I recognize that I miss it to a degree for sure, but also that like I was wasting a huge opportunity to spread the word about what I'm doing to a large audience of people, you know? So like, I'm not doing that anymore. And obviously like, because I run a fucking nonprofit, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. I ain't hopping on planes and traveling around the world and doing battles. That wouldn't be responsible of me. But a couple times a year, right opponents, right places, abso-fucking-lutely. Because it's only going to help us save more dogs in the long run. And that's what I do everything for now.
Death Dealers Anonymous / Dog Dealers Anonymous.
Man, it's crazy. These people that are promoting this fucking or supporting this murder music don't know that they're like saving dogs in the process, man. And it's a lot of people in like Eastern Europe and shit. It's a lot of like Russians and Ukrainians. I'm like, I hope y'all fools aren't like fighting on each side of a war, both listening to the same music.
Kind of
like,
hard, actually.
I mean, it'd be tighter if they've got out of the tanks and fucking say, "Oh, you're listening to Iron Maiden too? Oh, hell yeah!" You know what I mean?
But like you know, like murking the enemy while slapping your music. That's like really sliding on the ops for real. Like that's
like they're taking it to the most extreme level. Like maybe they don't understand that this is fictional characters in a separate universe.
I remember Andre and Big Boy Outkast got really upset when their song "Bombs Over Baghdad." Different pilots in the I don't think it was a Gulf War. It was one of the wars in Iraq.
One of the many wars in the Middle Eastern country.
Yeah, the pilots were like, "Yeah, we listen to this song when we're fucking bombing Iraq," and like
that's not tight.
It's not. They were.
That's not tight.
They were pissed off when they heard that because that's obviously not what the song was made for.
No.
However, it is called "Bombs Over Baghdad,"
and we literally just write songs about shooting guns out of cars. So like, you know, I don't blame people for taking it too literally, I suppose. But at the same time, like, it'd be nice if you weren't fighting each other. You know what I mean? Like, wait, you know what? Everybody do what makes you happy. That's my whole thing. Just don't fucking mistreat dogs in the process, and it's okay with me. You know what I mean?
There's an industrial rock band you probably are not familiar with, or you might be if you're as nerdy as me, which you're nerdy in certain ways as well.
Can be.
There's a band called Skinny Puppy. Have you
very familiar with Skinny Puppy.
Skinny Puppy.
Yeah.
They're a Canadian industrial band, and a lot of their music, if you could decipher like the crypticness, is about like protecting animals and how animals are abused.
Really fucking cool, man.
Yeah, but they're live, but it's very disturbing music.
Yeah.
And
nothing more disturbing than locking a fucking beautiful animal in a cage for fucking 18 hours a day and then using it to create more of it and selling it for money and then robbing people at gunpoint for that. Just saying.
They're right. Well, their live shows, they would have like on screen behind them, like, animals
like PETA footage.
Yeah, like animals being tortured.
Yeah, and not in a way to like
not glorifying it. No.
Yeah. Fucking shock people into stopping.
Yeah,
doing bad shit.
And they're clearly just very disturbed guys. So like it's but they found out that their music was being used as Guantanamo Bay torture tactics.
Yes, I remember hearing about that.
And they were very upset about that.
I mean, nobody wants their music being used to torture other human beings. Like that's both insulting and terrifying at the same time.
But I feel like that'd be pretty. You know, I heard also they were using like fucking. It was either Miley Cyrus or Britney Spears. It was something like that as well. They were using to torture people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hilarious, but
in its own right.
In its
because
own
like
morbid way.
you know, one person's trash is another person's treasure or whatever.
I think Skinny Puppy's fire. I also think any of that's fire. But if it's like blaring on a consistent,
I mean,
loop,
nothing was cool. I mean, what
like,
in Clockwork Orange they made that fool hate Mozart. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's like anything could be turned fucking ugly if you try hard enough.
And that just goes to show the power of association with art and the nostalgia that's created from, you know, the experience of the visceral experience of consuming any type of art, listening to music, seeing a painting or whatever, and whatever environment you're in and the people you're around and what's going on are going to shape your affinity for that. Like if, you know, like the first time I got my dick sucked, I was, you know, I'm making this up right now. Like I was listening to fucking Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The song is going to hit a little bit different when that
Every
guitar,
time that shit comes on, you get a little twinkle in your eye.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
With that being said, Dan, more death dealers on the way.
Ham, man,
Dogs
how
on the
how
way.
long did we do this shit for?
We potted for a couple.
Man, you's incredible. I do an hour, and I'm like, is it been an hour? It's an hour. Okay, we're done.
And we've had consistently over 100 people in this motherfucker.
Well, God bless everybody that's been watching this shit. Dogsaredope.co if you want to get any of this fucking fire gear. 100% of the proceeds go towards helping dogs in need. AdoptMyBlock.org is the name. Adopt My Block is the name of our rescue. AdoptMyBlock.org is the website. More information on the work we do there. Follow us on Instagram, Adopt My Block. You'll see like a little house with the dog paw inside. That's us, man. And you'll see me out there every day helping dogs. Out there in the encampments, getting them the supplies they need, getting dogs fixed and vaccinated, just doing whatever I can as an individual to help this problem, this crisis that we're in right now. And I could really use your support for sure.
And please like, share, subscribe. And although we'd appreciate super chats, we'd really appreciate sending some money over to Adopt My Block.
Really appreciate it, man. Like I said, anything helps, and everything is important to us.
We'd love to, at Mad Deep Lush World, do something in conjunction with Adopt My Block in the future.
Absolutely, man. And I think
some kind of a fundraiser thing or some shit.
We were
like
talking
that.
about at Ruin Your Day. We were talking about doing some kind of like telethon style battle event
Some
where we
shit,
raise funds for the dogs. Like the thing is about this is everybody loves dogs. Everybody fucking loves dogs. If you got someone in your life and they don't love dogs, keep an eye on that motherfucker. They're a psychopath.
That's a sociopathic tendency. For sure.
Absolutely. That's how we can spot them. You know what I mean? Like, everybody loves dogs, so everybody's down to get involved in this kind of a situation. And, you know, I urge you to check out our rescue and see how we operate. And if you feel like it's something you want to support, please, man, anything and everything helps, and it's always greatly appreciated.
With that being said, he might be counterproductive, but he's never counterfeit. We about this bitch.
Later.
Come on.